Hello and welcome to the For We Are Many podcast. My name is Rob, and this is the current event stream for the 25th of January, 2022. We've got quite a lot to talk about tonight, honestly. Um, World War III was World War III was trending on Twitter yesterday. The stock market has been a very volatile situation for the last couple days at least. Um, there's a couple fronts of that. There's been I believe it was two carrier groups that NATO led into Chinese waters, and then the Chinese flew 39 jets over Taiwan, or shall we say, China. And right, I mean, kind of same thing for Ukraine, really. Um, mainstream, right? Um, So mainstream American media has been demonizing Putin for calling the Ukraine a failed state and a U.S. puppet. I just want to know, where's the lie? Agreed. If you're wondering why I keep looking down, I'm sharing to groups. So um, if you guys like what we do here, feel free to share in more groups. As most of you know, we are live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Yeah, that's possible. Um, Still sharing the groups. There's quite a few that we've been trying to share to. Obviously, it's a little bit different each time because there's so many. But I guess I should probably stop before my Facebook account gets flagged again. Hello, Emily and James and Nathan. Hello, hello, hello. I guess I could put this up. It's weird that I didn't. All right. All right. Nathan also said in the comments that, or not the comments, but the group chat, that he couldn't hear you as well. I do. I mean, granted, I've got these headphones on, and that helps some. If you were too quiet, then I hope we're not having some sort of. Yeah, very true. Not very. Um, I guess we'll also actually we'll start with the billionaires. How about that? The world's top five. I don't think they should be a top five list, but anyway, the top five richest men in the world have lost a collective. Well, the article originally says 85 billion, but the numbers actually appear to be higher. Yeah, and this is all since the first of the year. Um, Elon Musk is down $27 billion. Jeff Bezos is down $25 billion. Bill Gates is down $9.5 billion. Um, and Mark Zuckerberg is down like $12.1 billion, which he's technically not in the top five. He is number six, but okay. That's that's really bizarre because I hear it just fine. When she comes back in, let us.
Do we need to reshare that link? A new link now? Fuck.
I don't know. I hope not.
Okay.
Um,
Going back to the page now to see. Um, no, but she'll still showing as the same link.
okay, thank
Yep,
God.
it says we're live, but started 8 minutes ago, so that's the only one going. Okay. Um, ooh, and there we go. Yep, my audio's coming through now because it started playing on my phone when I went to share it again, and I could hear me. All right. Uh, back to sharing out to groups. Um, fuck, where was I? There we go.
All right, so we appear to be back. Um, that was really distracting. I don't even know what happened.
I don't fucking know. That was strange. Aw, thank you, Emily.
um, all right. Anyway, into the news. Once I there we go. I pulled it back up on my phone to make sure that I can still see it. Anyway,
Oh,
so to the news, the five richest men um, have lost almost $100 billion since the first of the year, and that's still not even really the tip of the iceberg of the money that the bourgeois have stolen from us over the last 50 years. Experts put the number at like $1.7 trillion, so we're talking about less than 1/17th of that. So
right. I'm curious, is this because of the stock market shit, or is this because of people slowing down on buying their shit, or what?
I mean, it's probably a combination, but what is being reported is that it's due to stock sell offs, which we'll get to that here. And actually, I guess that could be the second thing we cover. Why not? Hang on just a second here. Apparently, Wade can't watch the live stream.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I am telling him to go to YouTube.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know why he wouldn't be able to see it on Facebook. I can.
well, yeah, I know, but apparently
Oh,
he got some sort of pop up.
oh, weird.
Okay. Anyway, stock market stuff, right? I should have put these links in order.
Yeah.
So stocks went down today after another volatile day. Yesterday, the Nasdaq dropped like 5% and somehow rebounded, which I can't help but wonder why. Um, anyway, according to AP News, another volatile bout of trading on Wall Street ended with a broad pullback for stocks Tuesday as investors grapple with economic red flags and uncertainty over how aggressive the Federal Reserve will be in fighting rising inflation. So, all of the rates that were slashed to zero for COVID are no longer at zero. And they're planning on raising interest rates 4+ times in 2022. We don't know, it hasn't been announced how much or how quickly um, these rises will happen. Um, and tech stocks are down more than anything, hence Musk, Gates, and Zuckerberg all losing their asses. Well, relatively speaking.
Losing a their asses, not their whole ass. But I mean,
Right.
a guillotine could be used for slicing off some rump roast. Anyway, just
Anyway,
around
the Federal Reserve is expected to issue its latest policy statement on Wednesday. The pandemic still hovers over the economy and threatens to crimp progress with every new wave. The IMF cited the Omicron variant as the reason it has downgraded its forecast for global economic growth this year. And why, over 2 years into a pandemic, we still haven't grasped that it's an issue is beyond me. As soon as they said, "Oh, Omicron's mild," I was like, "Uh oh." And I mean, since we've been seeing hospitals over capacity, we've been seeing services not operating, we've been seeing stores not being stocked. Everything that conservatives say will happen under communism is happening under capitalism, and they still don't even want to admit there's an issue.
Of course not. They want to pretend like capitalism is still functional. It's not.
And let's also talk about what's spurring inflation, right? Because it all comes down to the Federal Reserve, right? All of this quantitative easing last year, or year before last, I guess. I mean, the first week that government officials were even talking about COVID, the bourgeoisie received $6 trillion pumped straight into the market, no interest. But then we're supposed to believe that higher wages are the reason for inflation, or we're supposed to believe that the $1,400 stimulus is the reason for inflation. And we're
Or
still
we're
not.
supposed to believe stuff is inflation that is really just price gouging because all of these corporations are reporting record fucking profits. That's not inflation, that's exploitation.
Well,
There's the difference.
capitalism itself is exploitation. And I
Well, yeah,
mean, ultimately, the end result is the same. It is still inflation, it's just on purpose.
it's artificial. I mean,
Inflation, money
I
is
guess all of
artificial. Of
it
course,
is.
it's.
All of it is. But I'm just saying they're
I'm
pretending that like, oh, this is just a result of the market. Motherfuckers, you are reporting record profits.
for like 2 years straight.
Right. hiking prices, trying to say you need to justify costs when really you don't, because if you did, you wouldn't be seeing bigger profit margins than you had been.
Right.
Liar.
Wade, I just wanted to say welcome back. I'm glad that you were able to get on not Facebook.
Welcome.
Should I call it fascist book? Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is.
Also, since we have been having issues with Facebook, I'd like to take the opportunity to invite you to forwearemany.org. We unfortunately do not have the live streams there all the time, which I guess, to be fair, I could, have Trisha um, read some of this while I
It,
get that set up, because I have been really bad about that. But you can find us on Twitch or YouTube as well if we're having issues on Facebook. Um, feel free to seek us out in our on other platforms, because as you can see by today's stream alone, we've had some issues.
all right. All right.
Um,
Well, you go take care of that. I will dive into this piece here. Um, Another volatile bout of trading on Wall Street ended with a broad pullback for stocks Tuesday as
I read that
investors
part
grappled.
already.
Oh, you did
I mean,
too.
yeah, the first two paragraphs I read.
Ah, yep.
So
Let me
I should have said that
scrolling
before
here.
I
Um,
had you just jump in. Sorry.
yep. Yep, there we go. Now I'm where you left off. The A500 fell 1.2% after having been down as much as 2.8%. The benchmark index has been falling steadily all month and is now down 9.2% from the all time high it set January 3rd. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped 0.2%, and the tech heavy NASDAQ gave up 2.3%. Higher inflation has been squeezing businesses and customers, and the Federal Reserve is expected to combat it in 2022 by raising interest rates. Gee, big surprise there. Um, Investors fear that the Fed could either be moving too late or be too aggressive. The central bank issues its latest policy statement on Wednesday. The virus pandemic still hovers over the economy and threatens to crimp progress with every new wave. The International Monetary Fund cited the Omicron variant as the reason it has downgraded its forecast for global economic growth this year. And a potential conflict between Russia and Ukraine threatens to push energy prices even higher while forcing more countries to focus on fighting a war instead of inflation and COVID. Wall Street is dealing with signs of slowing economic growth because of COVID, and a Fed that can't really go back on what it said it would do, said Barry Bannister, chief equity strategist at Stifel. The market has come to terms with that, and that's a big deal, he said. Fiscal and monetary tightening together is tough on financial assets when they're coming off a rip roaring party from stimulus. Still, the fact that the major stock indexes came off their lows of the day could be a sign that some investors are betting that a dimmer outlook for economic growth may prompt the Fed to take a more measured approach to rising interest rates. Weaker economic growth projections have contributed to investors breathing a sigh of relief that the Fed won't have to be overly aggressive, said Sam Stovall, the chief investment strategist at CFRA. The S&P fell 53.68 points. This week, the index has come within striking distance of entering a quote-unquote correction, which among market watchers means a drop of 10% from a peak. The Dow fell 66.77 points. The blue chip index had been down 818 points in morning trading. The NASDAQ fell 315.83 points. The index had initially slumped 3.2%. It entered a correction last week and is now down more than 15% from its high set on November 19th. Small company stocks also lost ground. The Russell 2000 index fell 29.48 points, or 1.5%. Major indexes had a similar start to trading on Monday and were down most of the day before a late buying spree pushed them to a higher close. That rebound may have been just a head fake, Bannister said, adding that more declines are likely in store for the market. Even though the S&P 500 managed to eke out a gain after its roller coaster ride on Monday, a measure of nervousness on Wall Street known as the VIX index remained high. That suggests stress is continuing to grow in the system, with markets in a high speed spin cycle. Strategists at UBS wrote in their report. Futures contracts related to the VIX, meanwhile, indicate investors are preparing for a high level of volatility in the near term, but less in ensuing months. That's a flip from their typical behavior last year. Technology stocks again led the losses as investors worry about rising interest rates. The higher interest rates tend to make shares in high flying tech companies and other expensive growth stocks less attractive. In Microsoft, for example, fell 2.7%. Retailers and communications companies also fell. Home Depot went down 1.3%. Netflix fell 5.4%. U.S. crude oil prices rose 2.7% and helped send energy stocks higher. The Occidental Petroleum jumped 8.1%. American Express surged 8.9% for the biggest gain in the S&P 500 after the credit card company reported that its fourth quarter earnings rose 20% from a year earlier. The bond yields rose. The yield on 10-year Treasury rose from 1.78 or rose to 1.78 from 1.74% late on Monday. So, uh, impacts across the board there. Um, and I'm not surprised that American Express had a surge. Mm, seems credit card companies, regardless of what happens on the Wall Street stuff, they still fucking make sure they make their money because that's all coming straight out of your pocket.
Got on mute. It sure is coming straight out of our pockets, though, and it always has been.
Yep.
I have the link. I thought that I did paste it, but maybe I only put it in the group chat. I just posted the link to for wearemany.org if you want to watch it there. It's the same as watching it on YouTube. It's just the embedded YouTube video. Um, but any traffic to the website helps, pushes us higher in search engines and things like that. um, yeah.
As for our website, does that enable the commenting through YouTube to, or do people actually be on
If they
YouTube?
if they go if they click it and go like to YouTube instead of watching it in the embedded player, then they'll have the comments. Otherwise they can comment, which it won't show on our feed on the screen, but they can also comment on our website.
Right, with one of our website accounts, yeah.
Yes. And obviously if anybody does that, we'll get notifications on our phone and shit. Doesn't happen very often though. Anyway, so let's see. I kind of feel like the next thing that we should talk about is World War III.
Fucking A. What?
Do we want to start with Taiwan or Ukraine?
Fuck it. Either one. Don't matter. Let's go with Taiwan.
All right. Give me
This
just a
this is
second
some
here.
serious fuckery. This is some serious fuckery. We're over there starting shit. Well, not us, but the U.S. government. Those fucks that don't represent us. they're over there making aggressive military moves, which, we've been talking about for some time that they were setting stuff up to have submarines off of the coast of Australia to, try to roll up on China, trying to, defend Taiwan wrongfully. Um, and
So this article that I just sent you, it's from CNN. So obviously, while we're talking about it, we're going to take that into account. Um,
right.
but this graphic right at the top, I guess I could screen share that, huh? That might help. This graphic right at the top here is the official Taiwan Ministry of Defense graphic showing where the Chinese warplanes threw. Apparently, there was 39 of them, is what I read previously. As you see, they literally just kind of edged Taiwan's airspace there. I mean, they didn't really fly over Taiwan, which is how it's been, talked about.
Right.
Um,
They were just fucking reminding the U.S. war machine, like, hey, we're still here because this is still part of China. Like, get the fuck off our lawn, or rather, our shores, in this case.
Actually, I shouldn't have stopped that screen share yet because here is the U.S. Navy bragging about it.
Weak.
Amphibious ready groups.
You mean amphibious aggressive groups?
Supporting a hashtag. There's a hashtag on this. A hashtag free and open Indo Pacific. Oh, that's really loud. That's really loud. Sorry. I mean, they're literally bragging about it on social media. This is.
What's free and open about any of that? I've
Yeah.
never known anything free and open to come under militant force like that, of aggression on somebody else's shit. That's some imperialist shit. Freedom! But make sure you spell it right. FREEDUMB. Anywho.
A U.S. Navy statement said the mass of warships was conducting training. I almost forgot, too. I saw a Business Insider article the other day talking about resurrecting, I forget the class, but a class of battleships, the most recent to be retired. We haven't, we retired battleships because we don't fight like that anymore. So, like, for Business Insider to be pushing this, I think speaks volumes to the situation right now. Which, I mean, of course they're going to support it because, they are. Um, I forgot what the hell I was trying to say. Wow, CNN. But China's ruling Chinese Communist Party, which is not correct, by the way, it is not and never has been the CCP. It is the CPC. It is the Communist Party of China. Anyway,
Well, they're stupid. Anyway,
um,
yeah.
views the self-ruled island as part of its territory, despite having never controlled it.
That's
So,
a fault.
like, have the,
You
has
lie, CNN.
have the editors at CNN just like never opened a history book? Taiwan has
Apparently
been
so.
a province of China for over a millennium.
Mm-hmm. Yup. Pretty much. Yeah. This is ridiculous. Oh, we've had some decades of time where, it's under the temporary control of some capitalist fucks that got ran out of China because they weren't being allowed to expand anymore, and they want to pretend like they're their own fucking country now.
The only reason Taiwan is recognized as an independent nation is because the United States recognized them as an independent nation after the Chinese bourgeoisie fled the revolution to the
Yeah,
island.
yeah. So
And they,
you
they keep calling it the
you've been told
Democratic
U.S.
Island.
right? It's the bourgeoisie escape island, and that U.S. education fucking lied to you, because once again, it's been to China for 1,000 fucking years.
James asked, "What about North Korea launching more missiles?" This all ties together, you guys. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the Democratic People's Republic of Korea has been testing more missiles. Um, I mean, due to tightening of the embargo, tightening of sanctions, and threats from the West. I mean, ultimately, once again, I'm not trying to say that like Kim Jong Un is a fantastic leader and that he's got the people's interests at heart all of the time. But what I am saying here is that regardless of whether or not the West agrees with their rule, they have the right to defend themselves. And I mean, North Korea is not very far from China. North Korea is not all that far from Taiwan.
Right. This
So,
is direct aggression that, of course, they're going to be like, wait a minute. Now you're in our backyard, too. I just love to know why the fuck the U.S. military seems to think they even have the right to just storm around the planet like this. Like, we told you to do this. Nobody gives a fuck.
moving on in the.
But
Sorry, go ahead.
just gonna say the racism there and that level of self importance is fucking disturbing. America, fuck yeah. Coming to save the motherfucking day, yeah. Anyway,
You're
it's all
absolutely right,
speak
Wade.
of.
The U.S. has been fronting historically communist countries a lot lately. Um, that being said, so is Putin. He's been buddying up to Venezuela and Cuba, which, I mean, not that they've ever had bad relations, um, but, you know, they're kind of pulling their allies closer. And Wade also followed that with this coming on the heels of the rise of worldwide communism. And yeah,
Yep.
I mean, we've seen a pretty significant increase in, well, maybe not our numbers, but, you know, like leftist thought in the West.
Yeah.
And that's part of why we've been trying to like dispel some Red Scare propaganda recently. Um,
Right.
I
Teach
mean,
people what
if you haven't noticed, we've kind of let our guard down about, you know, talking about Stalin's work. Um,
mm-hmm.
we've, and that's not to say that he's perfect either. Critiques can be had, but if you're parroting imperialist propaganda, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
listening.
Right, because it's most likely inaccurate. If it's in the little black book of communism, it's inaccurate. It's Red Scare propaganda.
Exactly. um, anyway, The Guardian has a live feed pertaining to the Ukraine situation. I just dropped
Right
that in
on.
the chat for you, Trisha, and I'm going to drop that in the comments for everybody else. if you want to follow along with this after we're off the air, I mean, it's still Western media, but it's at least the Guardian and not like CNN.
And to be fair, the Guardian's pretty fucking based. There was an article I was reading of theirs not too long ago where they repeatedly pointed out that the US government is fucking illegitimate. And I was just like, yeah.
So 6 hours ago, Biden said there would be, quote, enormous consequences for Russia if Ukraine is invaded. But I also wanted to, this is not from this article, but it is kind of important to talk about. PBS NewsHour earlier today said Ukraine believes Russian invasion is not imminent, but Western allies remain concerned. Um, and what's sparking all of this is that there's, well, supposedly more than, but roughly 100,000 Russian troops deployed near the nation's northern and eastern borders. Um, and despite new announcements of Russian training exercises, the West considers an invasion as imminent, and the fear is being felt on Ukraine's front lines. Um, but they're talking to Ukrainian soldiers in this interview. I guess I could give you the link to this too. I am going to put your comment right there, Wade, because yeah, I've seen it a lot lately as well. Um, here we go. Back to the story. Um, on the front lines of an 8-year-old war, of course, referring to when Russia annexed Crimea in spring 2014. Um, in eastern Ukraine, Ukrainian soldiers skirmish daily with Russian backed separatists. So, what you're saying is that, of course, we're going to call them Russian backed, but like they're referring to the portion of the Ukrainian population that wants to rejoin Russia, which doesn't seem to
Right.
be any sort of small number. Anyway, since the
Right. Well,
spring
I
of
mean,
20,
the people there have suffered since the fall of the Red Bloc. Greatly, greatly suffered. You know, their everything has gone to shit. So once again, Putin was not wrong in saying it's a failed state. It is, and the people who live there are fucking sick of it.
yeah, actually, there was I guess I can pull that up and see if there's anything worth bringing up. But they were talking about it in. Oh wow! So I don't know, Nathan, if you are in the comments, which I assume you are, he sent a screenshot about shadow bans, and he can't go live, advertise, and posts will be moved lower in newsfeed for at least 90 days. Can't go live for 25, can't advertise for 25. Posts will be moved lower in newsfeed for at least 90 days. That is the shadow ban we are talking about. Anyway, um,
Also, the Pentagon said 8,500 U.S. troops are placed on heightened alert to deploy to Ukraine if necessary. Um, let's see.
okay, hold
Uh,
on. Um,
joining with NATO.
so Nathan, wait. Wade, there we go, said, notice that the U.S. has been fronting on countries that at least historically have been friendly to communism. He said that in the comments as well. But Nathan said, don't get me wrong, Russia is definitely the aggressor here with the Ukraine, but that doesn't mean the United States has a right to arm either side or have a dog in the fight. And
Right.
Wade said it could be used to bring back a post Patriot Act flavor of McCarthyism. And that's exactly what I expect out of it.
Yeah.
And Nathan said, I'm pretty sick of liberals being like, but this time it's warranted, or this time it's different whenever the US starts some shit with another country. And then Wade pointed out Ukraine is neo-Nazi. The Ukraine has been extremely right-wing since the fall of the Soviet bloc, just like Poland.
Right. And the regular people there are not digging that.
And then Nathan said, "Oh, totally. Ukraine is straight fascist. So of course the U.S. would be like, let's help them out."
Right.
And then
Of
Wade
course. And well,
added,
the rest of NATO too.
"Yes,
Right.
yes, absolutely." And Wade added, "Since the U.S. is fascist with lipstick." Okay,
Pretty much.
so one more thing. It's one imperialist nation going up against another imperialist nation, and they both seem to think their way is correct. I want to interject in the middle of his statement there to say that Lenin wrote about this, actually, and that's what defines capitalist imperialism. That's what caused World War One. That's what caused World War Two. And Lenin warned about it before either one happened. Um,
If you would like another little tidbit to make you cringe, Mitch McConnell said the Biden administration is, quote, moving in the right direction with its response to Russia's troop buildup. Now, when a fucking straight up GOP fascist is like, yeah, go Biden, we got a problem. But it also highlights exactly what we've been telling you guys for a long time, and that's that Democrats and Republicans are two heads of the same fucking monster. They're both neoliberalist fucking fascists, and fuck them both. Um, here's just another case in point of evidence there. Uh,
um, so Nathan went on to say, I don't really care for either of them. I wish that Putin would step down and allow a worker state to flourish. They long for the glory days of the USSR. And he's absolutely spot on there. But the only thing that I'd like to add is that Russia is not your typical imperialist nation. I mean, at least in ideology, Putin is largely anti-imperialist. That doesn't mean that he doesn't act like one from time to time, and that is problematic. But
I think
I mean, he also
there's
called the greatest geopolitical calamity in history was the fall of the USSR.
right, and there is a difference between them leaving the door open for states like Ukraine to go, yeah, we'd like to rejoin Russia, versus the real imperialist shit, like what the US is doing, of going and building fucking military bases in every fucking place they can squeeze one out of, and literally fucking therefore forming military colonies in those places. So that's pretty hypocritical for anybody who is a pro US motherfucker to point that finger and forget they got three more pointing back at themselves. Just saying. On that note,
Right.
I'll be right back. I gotta turn the AC off. It's getting too cold in here. Give me just a second.
I don't know what's going on with my video right now. It's on.
Ow.
I think that I just had a power issue and now. Can you guys hear me?
Ow. I can hear you, Rob.
Okay, well, that's a plus. I don't know what's going on with my video, though. I just had some sort of power issue in here, and everything went dark for a minute. And I'm glad that I have audio, but my camera is not working now. All right. James said, pull out of one place after 20 years, have to find somewhere else to send people, or no reason to ask for more tanks and guns. Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
goddamn truth.
Exactly. And I mean, we're talking
Really?
about the largest military budget on earth every year.
Right. Bigger than like the next 20 to 25 countries combined, if I remember right. I'd have to look it up. It's kind of wavered between 20 and 25 for a long time. But either way, like entire coalitions of other countries wouldn't be able to fucking match our military spending. Like, this is fucking ridiculous.
um, Wade went on to say, we need Lenin, we need Stalin, we need Mao, we need Castro, we need Che, we need Malcolm X, we need Newton and Seal, we need Hampton, we need Sankara, but we don't have them. So we must be the revolutionaries we need. I'm
Yes.
once again going to throw out this Grace Lee Boggs quote.
I
We
knew it.
are the leaders that we've been waiting for.
Goddamn right.
Caitlin said, still trying to dig into how much of this centers around the European energy crisis, and I would be willing to bet a lot because, like,
Uh-huh.
most, a lot of Germany's power comes from Russian natural gas.
Yep.
And I'm not saying it's just Germany, actually, because one of the stories that we will be talking about is power cuts in Britain. The energy crisis, the gas crisis, is leading to blackouts and emergency supplies alerts in Britain. But we'll get back to that in a minute. Where the hell even was I? I
In
don't know.
space.
Right, the Guardian Ukraine deal. That's where it was.
Yes.
All right. So, oh well, this
Yeah,
is on the
Caitlin,
side. This doesn't have
Germany.
to do with the Ukraine, but a Michigan judge has declined to dismiss charges against 5 men accused of plotting to kidnap Governor Whitmer.
Oh, goodness.
Oh Jesus! Biden plans to host auto executives at the White House tomorrow.
Yeah. Fucking
Does that show who he works for yet?
yes. Uh,
I am really confused what Pelosi seeking re-election has to do with the Ukraine, though.
I don't know. I saw that noted on a few of the Ukraine articles too. And I'm not sure. But yes, the whole energy situation in Europe is related because um, they're saying they're worried that Russia will cut off its oil and natural gas supplies to Europe and stuff. And it's like, well, sure, if you keep shitting on their lawn, even
um,
blow it 1600 pen. Nice.
National COVID deaths are their highest in the past year. That's also unrelated, but the number of reported COVID-19 deaths reached a 7-day average of 2,191 people per day. Oh, hello, Chelsea.
Hi.
You get to be the video one. Oh, there's Trisha. I don't know
Yeah,
what's going on with my video here.
I
That's
don't
really
know.
weird that we're all having problems. I mean, I'm on Krista right now, so I don't have a problem. But
Oh my god.
hey,
There
it's
you
because
are.
I came. I was
Yeah.
Now,
watching Munich Edge of War, and then Kyle decided to take a phone call. So now I'm here.
right.
Welcome.
Wade said this coming on the heels of mandatory reporting being stopped. Yep, exactly, Wade. So expect those numbers to decrease dramatically. That does not mean the case counts or deaths are actually any lower. Um. Anyway, I don't care about Nancy Pelosi's reelection.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, fuck her.
Okay.
I saw that and I was just like, nope, not sharing that.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully enough of the people who had been supporting her in the last one have woke the fuck up to the fact that she ain't there to represent y'all either, and they quit voting for her.
I just don't understand how that's not like a natural conclusion to begin with. I mean, like, I was embarrassingly libertarian after I graduated high school, but I still did not trust politicians. So
Right.
or billionaires specifically. So I just don't really understand the glorification of any of that.
Me either. Um. All right. So Biden said, well, I already pointed this out, but Biden said that there will be enormous consequences for Russia if Ukraine is invaded. White House press secretary Jen Psaki confirmed that officials from the State Department and the Pentagon will hold 2 classified briefings with lawmakers today to provide updates on the situation in Ukraine. And the U.S. is helping prepare for the diversion of natural gas supplies from around the world to Europe in the event that the flow from Russia is cut. So yeah, it is all tied. And NATO can probably just quit using the word solidarity. That just made me sick to my stomach.
Yeah. They don't
NATO
know.
solidarity should be maintained and built upon the approach to Russia's aggressive buildup of troops on the Ukrainian border amid fears of an invasion. Even the wording that they use is like, see Russia bad.
Right.
Everything. Like, you can't even try to be non biased.
No, I mean, they want to paint everybody as in fear, but they don't want to let anybody talk about what they're afraid of or what they think should be done about it.
Right.
It's always like, oh, these poor people and solidarity, but it's like you don't listen to any of them talk.
Right.
If they were really wanting to provide some solidarity, they would, I don't know, maybe listen to the people's complaints about the fucking Naziist shit that's gone on there ever since the fall of the Red Bloc, that, you know, Ukraine got pushed straight into total fucking fascist rule. And yep, Caitlin, you're correct. Selective solidarity.
Right. Wow.
Mm-mm. It's gross.
Um, I think that's really about it on Ukraine. But Biden is calling it apparently the largest invasion in Europe since World War II.
That's not the first thing I've seen compared to World War II today. Someone said that the Tonga, I think it was CNN that said that the Tonga eruption was like 100 Hiroshimas.
Yeah, something like that. It was
And
a
I'm like,
10
if
plus megaton explosion.
it was like, that's understandable, and obviously that's not anybody's fault directly necessarily, but like it's just weird how that keeps like coming up in reference to things that don't necessarily, you're like, I didn't need to picture that in my head, but now that we're on the subject, it was just kind of strange to me to read it.
You know, it kind of makes me wonder, because there was also that thing that I forget. I think somebody shared it in our group chat the other day, of the Fed releasing that fucking warning about nuclear bombs possibly getting dropped on the states.
Yeah,
And it's like,
it's
what are
basically
they
like an
trying to
updated
protect
duck
you
and
for?
cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nathan keeps sharing those memes. That like look like a 1950s advertisement
Right.
or
Well,
a
yeah, but I
1950s
mean,
warning
like, there
of.
is legit a FEMA site. I just messaged the group chat asking
So who
Nathan
are they
for it.
saying that this is? Who's gonna do that?
They're not saying who. They're just saying we should be
That is
prepared.
fucked up.
Fucking duck and cover.
Right. Like trying to get everybody to build bomb shelters in their basements again. Some,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like, we can't afford a basement at this point, let alone a fucking bomb shelter in it.
Well, see, and when they did that before, it was because they had already done it. So does that
They
just
were,
mean they're going to do something now and they're just not telling us yet and trying to scare us, but they're going to do it to somebody else?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean,
propagate
that
another
sounds like what
thing,
it would be because, I
right?
mean, they always blame our actions as a country on other people and then try to inflict us with that same fear, even though it more than likely is not going to happen to us. And if it does, then fuck it. Like, there's no avoiding that. A school desk and a basement aren't going to help you.
Right. Not the
But
fuck
it
out.
sounds like they're working up to something, that they're about to do it again to somebody else.
Right. Provoke another fight that, normal people who don't have anything to fucking do with it, we're going to be the ones that have to pay the consequences if, the U.S. government and military go and piss off the wrong fucking powers across the globe and invite fucking bombs to get dropped here. Like,
This
they're
is
not the
a
ones
this
that suffer,
this is a super inviting looking webpage, right?
right?
This is a
That's not
this
to inspire fear.
right. This is an official US government website. Ready.gov is operated by FEMA. Get inside, stay
Yep.
inside. It's literally stay inside and watch the news. Keep a hand crank radio in case fucking TV is down.
That's not going to protect you from nuclear fallout. Get in your house, motherfucker. Radioactive shit that's going to
Stay
go
in
right
your
through.
house, but also go to work, but also listen to the news all the time, but also stay in your house.
Yeah,
But
and
go to
it's
work. Definitely go to work.
and look at all these associated content. Oops,
Right.
not the partner sites, but it's just absolutely ridiculous. And their slogan is "Get inside, stay tuned." Kidding me? Get inside,
That's not
stay
going to help you.
inside, stay tuned.
Unless your house is like steel lined 6 feet of concrete, that's not going to fucking help you in nuclear fallout.
Well, I mean, it depends on the situation. The fallout itself would probably be stopped by a well-built brick house.
Maybe, but the thing is airflow too.
Exactly,
Unless you
exactly.
have a hardcore fucking filtration system that is built to remove nuclear waste like that from the air, it's not going to matter.
Exactly. And then they say stay inside for 24 hours and then fucking
What's
reunite with
24
your
Then
hours
what?
family or
going to do
whatever.
if a nuclear bomb hits?
Right.
Nothing. You step foot directly into.
Do they think that we don't have internet or fucking history classes that we've taken that we know that this is not what happens when a nuclear bomb hits your fucking area?
Oh my God. Wade said, so warm.
Right. Oh God. Right. You'll definitely stay warm. James says, remember your hand sanitizer and COVID mask while you're in the bunker.
Hey, it'll be warmer today than today. Give me
man.
that freaking radiation. No, I'm kidding. Don't do it. Today was
It's
dull.
just wild though. Like, I mean, we are actively the global aggressors right now, trying to pick fights with the two other biggest militaries in the world, and which we dwarf in spending. We dwarf all of our enemies and allies combined. Anyway, so like we're ramping up for what appears to be the lead up to World War fucking 3. And, you know, the government on one hand is trying to pretend that it doesn't exist, and on the other hand saying, just in case, be prepared for a nuclear fucking bomb.
Yeah.
Well, you're certainly right, Wade. You'll be warm for the rest of your life if you see the mushroom cloud.
You'll be warm, and then you'll be ash. And then you'll be just energy that's left to skin suit.
And I'll agree with that too, Caitlin. The anti-war movement is just so anemic here. They're fucking exhausted.
Well,
we have been at war for all but, what, 17 years since 1776?
On top of that, like individually speaking, depending on where we live and depending on how much money we have, we are so used to having to defend ourselves individually and be on guard individually that we think that everything is a constant war globally, even just from our own personal experiences, even when it's not necessarily like that. We can justify things all day if somebody tells the right side of the story. And I'm familiar with that individually just as much as like seeing it play out in the articles that we read and the political conversations that we have.
Fuck. Like this shit right here is why the doomsday clock is at 100 seconds to midnight.
Yeah, at the height of the Cold War, the closest it ever got to midnight was 2 minutes to midnight.
Yep, and now it's at 1 minute and 40 seconds. That should tell you something.
Yeah. And, I mean, you know, not that I think electoralism is the answer or whatever, but if we look back to 2020, from any party that I'm aware of, there is only one candidate that was talking about the doomsday clock being closer to midnight than it's ever been. And that was Howie Hawkins.
Yep.
How many seconds now, because things have changed since the update? I believe that's an accurate figure, but let me check. Doomsday clock.
Yeah, I literally just pulled it up to see if it was still riding right there at 100. It is. Yeah. Like that's how close we are to destroying the fucking world. This is sad.
I think there is a press release, right? And we are press, so we can watch this video.
Beautiful.
Hang on.
And just for disclaimer purposes, we do not own this video that we are about to share.
From the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. Hold on, the video started without me. Shit. There we go.
Right.
There we go.
This is fair use stuff.
Well, this is literally their press release. So if they try to come at us saying, hey, you can't use that, we're not going to watch this whole 43-minute video,
right.
Obviously.
Right. But, yeah. Literally.
I need it. There we go.
Our faces off so we can read the text.
Of the atomic scientists.
Do what? Oh.
Take our cameras off so we can read the text.
Yeah, I got it. I got
it.
Oh, welcome to today's news event. I'd like to thank the Harris School of Public Policy at the University of Chicago for its ongoing partnership and for serving as the Bulletin's host institution. My colleagues and I join you this morning to update you on the 2022 time on the doomsday clock. The Science and Security Board of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists sets the doomsday clock each year to answer two important questions. Is humanity safer or at greater risk this year compared to last year? And is humanity safer or at greater risk this year compared to the 75 years we've been asking the question? The time of the doomsday clock represents the judgment of leading science and security experts about the threat to human existence, with a focus on man-made threats, nuclear risk, climate change, and new disruptive technologies. We at the Bulletin believe that because humans created these threats, we can reduce them. But doing this is not easy and has never been so. It requires serious work and global engagement at all levels of society. This year marks the 75th anniversary of the doomsday clock, one of the most powerful pieces of graphic representation, one of the most effective pieces of science communication, and one of the best examples of the power that art and science can have when they come together in informed and collaborative ways. While the doomsday clock serves as a metaphor, the challenges it represents are very, very real. This is one reason that we're excited to have Hank Green join us as a featured guest today. Hank is one of the leading science communicators of our time, and in that way is in direct line of descent from Martil Langsdorff, the creator of the doomsday clock. At the Bulletin, we are recognizing the clock's 75th anniversary with innovative programming, including an art exhibit entitled Human Nature at the Weinberg Newton Gallery in Chicago, curated by Cindy Kahn, open through mid-April, a mobilization festival in New York's Times Square, organized around the sculpture Amnesia Atomica, created by the Mexican artist Pedro Reyes, on display between May 17th and 24th, the publication of a new book, The Doomsday Clock at 75, by Robert K. Elder and J.C. Gable, and a social media challenge in which we are asking people around the world to share their ideas, what can be done and what they are doing, what you are doing to turn back the clock. To join the challenge, simply post your ideas to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or Twitter with the hashtag #TurnBackTheClock. All of this and more can be found on our website at thebulletin.org. Since its inception, the Bulletin's doomsday clock has been set closer and farther away from midnight. In 2020, we set the clock the closest it has ever been to midnight, 100 seconds. It has been set as far away as 17 minutes to midnight at the end of the Cold War. The reasoning for why we set the time where we do can be found in our annual statements that accompany our announcements. We are releasing the 2022 time statement today, and that can also be found at thebulletin.org. When the board set the clock last year at 100 seconds to midnight, we noted that we continue to believe that human beings can manage the dangers posed by modern technology, even in times of crisis. But if humanity is to avoid an existential catastrophe, one that would dwarf anything it has yet seen, national leaders must do a far better job of countering disinformation, heeding science, and cooperating to diminish global risks. The board went on to argue that the COVID-19 pandemic serves as a historic wake-up call, a vivid illustration that national governments and international organizations are unprepared to manage complex and dangerous challenges like those of nuclear weapons and climate change, which currently pose existential threats to humanity, or other dangers, including more virulent pandemics and next-generation warfare that could threaten civilization in the near future. This year, in our statement, the Science and Security Board highlights several bright spots and many disturbing trends. The board describes a mixed threat environment, one with positive developments counteracted by accelerating negative ones, an environment that my colleagues will further elucidate in the follow-on discussion that can be found in the statement on our website. Now, joining us from Chicago to reveal the 2022.
I think I didn't mean to actually stop the screen share. I meant to go to the tab to pause it. Anyway, let me pull that
I was wondering about that also.
Yeah, that's the part. That's the part we were looking for. I didn't mean to stop it.
I was like, can people see me? I was like, I wouldn't care if they could. I just really kind of wanted to know, and so I just didn't.
Fair. So I wanted to address John's comment here. He said, just keep on fucking with Russia. Joe
Right.
Biden is gearing up for a land war with Russia in the winter. History
Right.
shows that's like the biggest no-no you can make.
Why
Right.
would anybody want to fuck with Russia in the first fucking place?
Right. I wouldn't want to fuck with Russia in the summertime, let alone in the winter.
We're not
Like,
talking about them exploiting a country for like, and you shouldn't do that. But like, we're not talking about fucking kid shit here. Like, I just don't understand.
right.
How is that going to help anybody? How is that not going to blow up in your face? Like,
I
Agreed.
kind of wonder if the whole purpose for it is to try to fucking get some kind of control over Russia's oil and natural gas supply, and
I
it's
think
not
that's literally what
Biden's
it comes
way.
down to.
see, but like, you're not talking about a small country that you can make a deal with another country and then take over this fucking country. Like,
Precisely.
And
They're talking about
to
waging a land war with people who are completely comfortable with just how fucking
and
frozen of a tundra
completely
it is there right
aware
now.
of the animosity towards them and can do
This,
something about it. They can do something about it.
right.
right.
It's just this is foolish. Troops from elsewhere won't survive even being in that deep cold of Russian winter, let alone at fucking. It's not going to work out in anybody else's favor.
Right. And if we need to look at history for evidence of that, why don't you ask Napoleon? Why don't you ask
Yeah,
Hitler?
Well, see,
yeah,
and this is the thing too, is that the other night, like John was saying, like, fuck Trump, like, obviously, but like, we knew that nobody was going to fuck with us when Trump was in office because he was so temperamental that you're just like, no, if you fuck with him, he's going to hit you where it hurts. He's going to do something and it's going to be petty and it's going to be really bad.
psycho.
So, and I think that if somebody had ever tried anything, that Trump would be the one to actually go against the actual politicians, maybe, or something. Whereas, like, none of this is going to end in any politicians dying. They're just going to kill our people, like, and
Right.
their people, and like nobody that needs to die is going to die from this.
At least Trump, as fucking stupid as he wasn't fucking stupid enough to fuck with Russia.
No.
Well, and like I said, he was petty as shit. He's a man child, so
Mhm.
he's gonna hit him where it hurts. He's gonna be like, "Oh, I'll actually kill your politicians instead of just your
Right.
people." But
Right.
we're just back in the territory of just fucking tit for tat bullshit, and other people just die in the midst of it.
Uh-huh.
James
Dude,
said 20
just
years worth of border patrol on another section of the map. They are itching to send troops somewhere. And yeah,
uh-huh.
they are. They're
And they're
escalating issues in Ukraine. They're escalating issues in China. It's because they want war. War makes them money.
right. Right. They're looking for where's the next spot to dip our fucking toes in the global war pool. Like, come on now. Except they're dipping it in frozen waters that the people of Russia are used to swimming in just about daily because these are not weak people. This is how they live their life. They bounce back and forth from the sauna to the fucking ice water, and that's just part of how they stay healthy. This is shit that school kids do during their school day. And we've got soft ass motherfuckers wanting to go over there and go to fucking combat with them on the.
So,
No, this is
so
dumb.
do they think Russia's gonna do this?
No,
Or
Biden is clear.
China.
No, I
Like,
mean the nuclear warning part.
Oh,
who?
no. They are pretty unbiased. Even during the Cold War they were. But I
I
mean,
just want to know who
nuclear
they think's gonna send a nuclear. Like, what are they trying to do, and who they think is gonna. Sorry,
mutually
I
assured
have a problem with
destruction.
like jumping. My mind thinks faster than my mouth, and I just go off.
It's fine, but the doomsday clock doesn't just take into account nuclear armaments. That's just a factor. Climate change is a huge factor right now. Technological develops such as AI that we don't have a good grasp on that could easily spin out of control. That's a bigger factor right now than
I guess
nuclear.
I'm just thinking back to those warnings of the nuclear and then this conversation. And so I'm just wondering if they're trying to say that Russia is going to bomb us.
No, as far as I think it was the Fed that kicked out that warning thing. It would have to be.
Yes, it was FEMA.
Run by FEMA. But with that, I think that's more of them telling on themselves of like, look, we're going to pick a fucking fight and you're going to pay for it. So we'll ease you into the idea and condition you to it so you think it's normal when it happens. But yeah, the doomsday clock folks are just observing everything and going, wait, this fast it's fucked, that fast it's fucked, that fast it's fucked, that fast it's fucked. And when you put them all together, we're fucked.
Right. Anyway, let's get to the doomsday clock announcement here.
Yeah.
And a professor at the University of Chicago in the departments of physics, astronomy, and astrophysics, the Enrico Fermi Institute, and the Kavli Institute for Cosmological Physics. And Dr. Suzette McKinney, a member of the Science and Security Board. She is also the principal and director of life sciences at Sterling Bay, where she oversees relationships with the scientific, academic, corporate, tech, and governmental sectors involved in the life sciences ecosystem. Today, the members of the Science and Security Board find the world to be no safer than it was last year at this time, and therefore have decided to set the doomsday clock at 100 seconds to midnight. The doomsday clock continues to hover dangerously, reminding us how much work is needed to ensure a safer and healthier planet. We must continue to push the hands of the clock away from midnight. Join us by participating in our Turn Back the Clock challenge that can be found on our website, thebulletin.org.
All right. Now I'll stop that video.
Well, I wonder if they're going to get into, all those facets of what's fucked and how and why.
Well, of course. That's why it's a 48-minute video. But we're already an hour and 10 minutes in. I'm not really trying to go through the whole thing.
I want to know what they have to say.
Well, I mean, I
can watch it later. It's all good.
Yeah, I was going to say I can send you the link.
Yep. Yeah.
That
would be cool.
Which I will also put in the comments. There it is in the comments, and there it is there. But I mean, they did kind of allude in the intro there that it has to do with climate change, rapidly developing technology that could spiral out of control, as well as, war. All right, next thing was we what?
John said that in the comments there that Biden, in promoting the status quo, has moved it to 40 seconds to midnight. Right? They just made that announcement for the year. They might need to adjust. Fuck. Because yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So back to. Well, there's a couple of.
Be at brunch when this happens. Sorry.
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. At a very bougie place.
I am white.
I talk shit, but I love avocado toast.
Nathan should be coming in here at some point because he was talking about, how. Well, hold on. Let me just pull it up. I was kind of expecting him to be in here by now, to be honest.
He found something else. I saw a little bit of that.
He found something else.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was partially wrong.
Oh yeah. It was South Carolina, not North Carolina.
But I thought he would be
But
there after that too.
yeah, it has to do with the first nuclear shipment coming out of Los Alamos in over 30 years, supposedly going missing, which left the news cycle just as quickly as it was there. And I mean, this is from 2017, but apparently the shipment left New Mexico and was never signed for in South Carolina.
What the fuck?
Yeah. But I don't have the backstory on that, so we'll let him talk about that when he comes back. But back to the Russia situation, the energy crisis in Europe. Millions of British people are at risk of energy blackouts as an emergency supply alert was sent out. Um, so they're talking about below average temperatures, obviously being a factor, and according to analysts at Goldman Sachs, Europe has enough gas supply stored up to get through the winter, but a drop in temperature could see storage levels fall to record lows. And the analysts say that if this happens, electricity blackouts are likely. And the National Grid Electricity Systems operators in the UK issued an alert on Monday as electric generations plunged to dangerously low levels. These notices are triggered when there's less than 500 megawatts of capacity between expected available demand and available generation.
Holy shit. That's cutting it close.
Analysts at Goldman Sachs warn that even if Russia increased its gas supplies to the region, Northwest Europe is likely to see gas prices at around twice their normal levels.
What the fuck? Why is there even a shortage there to begin with?
Because it's manufactured, just like every shortage in our local supermarkets.
Well, yeah, I'm just wondering what bullshit line they're justifying it with this time. Sure seems like they're setting the stage for some bullshit like, see, Europe's going without power and it's Russia's fault.
Yeah, and I mean the entire narrative in this. I don't know much about the Express; it's a British news source, but I don't know much about them. But this is a very anti-Russian stance. Anyway, so speaking of Putin, Putin is shoring up Cuba and Venezuela ties as tensions with the U.S. worsen over Ukraine. Which I mean only makes sense, really. I mean he's gonna be pulling all of his allies, or at least friendly partnerships, as close as he can, because NATO's been doing the same thing for 10 years. But
Right.
yesterday, Putin spoke with Cuban President Diaz-Canel via telephone. The Kremlin referred to the talks as, quote, an in-depth exchange of opinions on bilateral cooperation in trade, the economy, and investment, and Cuba's presidency called the parley a cordial and fruitful telephone conversation. The president of Cuba thanked Russia for the humanitarian aid supplied to the republic, including in the context of countering COVID-19. The presidents discussed further coordination of Russia and Cuba's actions in the international arena in line with the principles of strategic partnership and the traditions of friendship and mutual understanding. The two men also, quote, reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening bilateral relations and agreed to intensify contacts at different levels. Which, I mean, Cuba has been building bigger and bigger ties with China as well. They joined the Belt and Road Initiative, I mean, they're trying to get foreign investment coming into Cuba. I mean, what other option do they have at this point? They were doing pretty damn well prior to the pandemic, but I mean, between the embargo and a complete lack of tourism, Cuba has really been struggling over the last 2 years.
Right.
Moscow has maintained good relations with leftist leaders in Latin America since the Cold War, as the Soviet Union sought to forge ties with anti-imperialist movements trying to push back against U.S. interventionist policies in the region. The partnership with Communist Cuba proved especially fateful, as a plan to deploy nuclear-capable weapons on the island led to the 1961 Cuban Missile Crisis. Which, I mean, that was just part of not to dive too far into that, obviously. We don't need to talk about a 1961 crisis in depth on a current event stream, but
Right.
Basically, that was a global game of chess, and the USSR put missiles on Cuba to urge the U.S. to withdraw its own stockpiles in Turkey, and it worked.
Right.
I scrolled too far. There we go. As for Venezuela, asked earlier this month if measures might include Russian military deployments to Cuba and Venezuela. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister told reporters that such an option could not be ruled out. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, and Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby all referred to the remarks as, quote, bluster. And while Russian ambassador to Caracas told the YouTube channel Sovaliv Live, I probably butchered that. Solaviv is probably closer. Anyway, that Venezuela's constitution does not allow the country to host foreign military bases. He said that the Latin American country would absolutely support Moscow if tensions with Washington worsened. But, I mean, again, that was a pretty straightforward answer. No, we will not allow Moscow to have military bases here. But, yet U.S. officials are making it sound like it's a surefire thing.
Right. Scare tactics. More Red Scare propaganda. Oh my God. They're going to do what we do. Fuck. I'd much rather see Guantanamo in the hands of Russian military than the U.S. military. Better yet, it really should just be relinquished back to Cuba because it's Cuba. But let them decide what to do with it. But if anybody should have a base there, it should be Cuba's allies, not enemies who want to keep sanctions against them to try to prevent trade and then get salty when allies help them out with supplies.
Nathan says, "Link me."
Yeah,
but
no,
that
was why I was smirking there for a second, because I looked and I had texted to the group. I was like, join the party. And he was like, what is this party we speak of? And Wade goes, the restream, they're waiting on you.
Yeah, I just saw that.
So I was while you were talking, I was like, okay. That's kind of why I zoned out for a second. And then I came back and I was like, I don't know where I am right now, but yeah, I was laughing too hard.
You're in the party. You made it. You have arrived.
Thank Kyle for ignoring me.
Thanks, Kyle.
Damn.
If it brings you here.
And Wade sent a gif of Link.
I was mad about it at first, and then I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just gonna.
Hold on, I heard the noise. He's in here. Yes, he is. Hello, Nate. Welcome to the
Hello.
party.
Hola.
How is everybody?
Not too
Good.
bad.
Good. Fuck a shadow ban.
Ain't
For
that
real.
Hey, we're twins, except my circumstance is worse at the moment.
Uh-oh.
I have 2 weeks left, and then on top of that, I have 30 more days of being. I got the same notification, so I have 44 days of my posts being lower on the feed. And then it's like, well, my mouth is so loud that it reaches far across the internet.
You're like, it doesn't
So-
matter.
It doesn't.
And the bands just keep echoing, like, here, have another.
Yeah, for real.
Wait,
Well,
I forgot.
I
Are
hope
we
that it
echoing?
I hope that it happens so much that it
Closed everything.
alienates everybody from Facebook and they start using other, social media platforms. Because have you guys seen Ready Player One?
I've heard of it, but I've not seen it.
So Ready Player One is literally about to be a reality for everybody because of the whole the metaverse.
Oh, you mean where my messenger app keeps shutting down while I'm trying to talk? Very meta, very tech.
Right. And unfortunately we're gonna just play right into their fucking capitalist paws.
So, like that one episode of Black Mirror,
Mm-hmm.
where that lady keeps having problems and her social points keep going down because she tells people to go fuck themselves or like what have you. Doesn't have to be that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna have that problem because I am not nice when I don't have to be like to people that are shitty.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even jobs now, I'll just leave them. So that's not good.
Me.
I'll just be like, this time I've gotten so good that I say nothing and I just leave. And they're like, what happened? I'm like, you're a motherfucker. You're an asshole. The end.
You guys
There's
were
no reason to explain that because you're not going to listen to me anyway. So,
right. Tom. Well, I think that's the thing that really sucks about corporations is that they'll do stupid shit like, oh yeah, well if you do really really good on a survey, you'll get a balloon, and you're like, what?
that's why I do work mostly local. Local has its problems, but at the same time, like, there's not that like compulsory like quota to meet on that kind of shit because I can't do that. I can't get used to that.
Yeah.
I'm not a robot.
Well, or
I
instead
mean,
of
unless I'm organizing like a bar shelf or like a liquor store shelf, like I'll be like, I'll organize that shit all day. But like, you can't tell me to just sell things like a machine. Like I can't
Yeah.
do that.
but they'll give you a pizza party if you do it, and then it's just like
They order the worst
Pizza.
pizza though, too.
yeah, they do.
Right,
It's
they're
not
like, here's
even
some ready.
high quality.
from
Hot
Little Caesars.
And ready.
Yeah.
Hot and ready.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no. you know
Nowhere
that
does it say
one-
it's good,
that was
but it is
literally-
hot
Doesn't say
and it
it's
is ready.
That's Little Caesars, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
Yeah.
my Christian private school that I went to, there was this one time we had Little Caesars delivered, and this girl that I was sitting next to that I was friends with for several years during that time period, she like pulls a Band-Aid out of her mouth. And I have never eaten Little Caesars ever again after that. I will not eat Little Caesars.
That's fucking disgusting.
It's a Band-Aid.
That reminds me of the time that there was a Band-Aid with a pretty sizable chunk of finger that came with my wonton soup when I was a kid from this like Chinese place. It was pretty wild.
You
My
just got my
parents
gag.
My parents are like, we're never going there again. And I'm the
I
one
wouldn't
who's
be
literally
able to
chewing
get
it
that
until I
thought
figured
out
that-
of my mouth for days.
What's that? I'm sorry?
I wouldn't be able to get that thought out of my mouth for days.
Like a
That's
chewed on something.
what he said.
Ugh. Oh God!
my God.
Wait. Finger food.
It's an
Literally.
hors d'oeuvre. They're hors d'oeuvres for poor
Oh,
people.
that's sick.
Gotta love
Uh,
it. Gotta love it.
Finger wonton. Fuck.
I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
You do you, boo boo.
All right. So we did have a few more things that we wanted to cover, and we are, getting close to our usual 90-minute cutoff time. So I am just gonna quickly go through the last three things, because I don't want to leave the labor struggles uncovered. King Soopers workers, the Kroger division
Yes, Kroger.
that was on strike. The union ratified a new industry-leading contract today. After months of negotiations and a 10-day strike, the United Food and Commercial Workers Local 7 called the 3-year agreement the most significant wage increase ever secured by a UFCW local for grocery workers.
Damn.
The union said it ensures the essential workers are, quote, respected and protected in the workplace and compensated with wages they deserve. Union workers received and voted on the contract Monday. According to the union, the deal includes first-year wage increases for longstanding employees, wage increases in excess of $5 per hour, better health care and protected pension benefits, more stringent safety measures in the workplace to protect employees and customers, and new paths to full-time employment opportunities for King Soopers and city market workers. More than 8,000 workers at 78 stores in the Denver metro went on strike on January 12th with the intent to negotiate a, quote, industry-leading contract. The strike ended on January 21st. The president, Kim Cordova of UFCW Local 7, released this statement on behalf of the union. Quote, from the beginning of this process, we promised our members that we would procure the very best contract we could. We are excited that our members voted overwhelmingly to ratify this industry-leading contract that will ensure King Soopers will respect and protect essential workers as well as pay them fairly. Getting here has been arduous. Full credit goes to the bargaining committee, and workers who made their voices heard through the negotiating, standing united at the picking line or sharing their stories with the media. This fight was always about them, and now they have a contract they deserve and can be proud of. This would not have been possible without the support of our allies throughout Colorado and across the country. To those who stood alongside our members, honored the picket line, and showed up in solidarity, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. The only thing that I want to add to this is that yesterday, Bernie Sanders held a live event from the picket line, and then that same day, Kroger comes back with this contract.
Suspicious.
Maybe they were scared of feeling the burn.
That's what it sounds like.
Well, I mean, you remember when Bernie, and I don't mean to give the man too much credit, but you remember when Bernie fucking, had that live stream on the picket line at fucking Amazon, and Amazon shares started tanking, and then they were like, hey, I guess we can give you 15 an hour.
Right, yeah.
Right. At least his presence alone to highlight what's going on in a situation is enough to scare the fuck out of the corporations that he's, calling out by name.
Yeah. Well, and he embodies the best parts of some of the old revolutionary leaders, to be honest. It's just sad that he still gets cucked by things like the duopoly.
I'll agree with that.
Irritating.
I mean, if you listen to the things that he says, there's a lot of Eugene Debs in there, and I will leave it at that.
Based. Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
Wade said, I am once again asking, what is to be done?
Mm-hmm.
I
Absolutely.
kept wondering if that's who that was. I didn't know that.
Lenin?
Yep, that's what he
Black.
was Samuel Black.
Oh yeah, Samael. That's
I
Wade.
didn't
Yeah.
know, but he was saying things that I was like, Wade has said that, so like I was like, so it makes sense now. I'm late to this party, so
It happens. Labor shortages pose grave challenges to small business owners. I'm not even going to read that shit. I'm just going to say it's not a labor shortage, it's a wage shortage.
yeah,
Ew.
you're
Yep.
like did just a whole like you're acting like a whole bunch of people died, which a whole bunch of people did die, but like a whole bunch of like normal people that were already working didn't fucking die.
Right. And a whole bunch more people decided, holy shit, this isn't worth risking my life.
Well, no, and at the same time, like personal experience here, like my last job that was consistent was almost 2 years, like a couple months shy of 2 years. And I had a lot of freedom there, so I put up with a lot of the things that were going on behind the scenes, and those things were nose related, and I wasn't one of those people that was doing it. And even the owner, like it was stupid. So you see a lot even in local places and stuff like that. But then like once you leave that, like I was there for 2 years, they lost the manager that they had that kept everything under control. And then so over the next 6 months after that, it was just awful. And it just got progressively more awful. I was made to work with food poisoning during COVID. Like,
Wow.
so even though I knew that it wasn't COVID,
You were
for
still sick as fuck.
specific reasons, like that still looks like it could be to other people.
Mhm.
And they just didn't care because they only had a few people to cover any of it. And honestly, I'm a workaholic. After that, they said I was lazy whenever I quit. They were like, we've wanted to replace you for a few months. And I'm like, well, that says more about you than it does about me that you can't find anybody to do that for you. But I would always go in for them. The year after that, though, is what's worse. I went into the Home Depot. I was there for 4 months. That was awful. And then various restaurants. I have like 5 W-2s that I have to get, plus like my TCC, like school W-2. And it's not fun for people to leave jobs this many times. Like, it's not
No.
fun if you're actually paying taxes to have to file that many taxes. There were like 2 or 3 years in which I only had 1 or 2 W-2s that I would have to file with people. And now I have to keep track of this. And then I have to worry about if I have to go back into those places to get the
Mhm.
W-2 if the situation was hostile. And like, you just, what are you supposed to do? And now I feel like I'm in a good place, but like that does not reflect this past year. Like, I
And
don't want
how
to start
long will
5
it be
new
a good
jobs. I
place?
don't want to meet 5 new groups of people during a pandemic that I hate. Like,
Yeah.
you never know if people are just nice to your face when you first meet them or if it's going to turn into a nightmare. And a lot of the time it turns into a nightmare.
Well, so I want to go back to something you said there because I don't think that a lot of the older generations, which were able to keep a low rung job on the ladder and keep that job and that employer until they retired, that stuff doesn't happen anymore. Every single person that I know has had to start another job every 3 to 5 years, like clockwork.
No,
And
and
for me, it's been even less than that. But most of my friends and family have had to start over like every 3 to 5 years. And it really says a lot to the greed of these corporations where they're like, well, whatever, we don't have to pay them more.
they're
If they
getting
want more, they
mad
can go to
that
another job.
people are saying, well, whatever. You're like, I'm already stressed. I'm already broke. So I might as well just go somewhere else.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And there's like, I
instead of
mean, there's
taking
a
care
friend
of
of mine
people,
specifically that Trisha's met. Her girlfriend has been working at this small pizza place, we'll keep it general, for 10 years. She's like 35, so that's not normal. She's making $13 an hour after 10 years. They're all planning to leave that place. Like, they're all planning to walk out.
They should all join the IWW and then make their walkout a
They all
strike.
very much know what I think about a lot. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but specifically for her for being there for 10 years, like, I can understand I don't know. I don't want to say that I understand a waiting period of like knowing whether you're going to walk, but like the whole system itself makes people walk in and walk out. And so I get that in certain circumstances that the smaller business employers don't want to waste time on people that might have issues or something like that, because we're already living in this horrible system that creates that problem for them as well. But like, when the majority of your staff has been there for years and years and you don't, $13, like, I started at where I am right now today $1 more than that, and it's not actually
And you just started
that takes
there.
less work because I'm only stocking and selling. I'm not making a pizza because I don't know how to make a pizza. So like,
Yeah, which is also funny because I've been in the food service industry for over a half a decade at this point, and I've worked enough places to know that everybody on the outside tends to think
make more than you. Bartenders and servers make more than you, and honestly, it is less complicated.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, we always try to act like these. Even a fucking fry cook at McDonald's works harder than anybody in any office ever. Period.
An office for sure. I would agree with you. There is some level of presentation that like it takes a lot that the general public doesn't know how to do. Like, I am very good at holding my shit. I'm very good at telling people to go fuck themselves without necessarily saying go fuck yourself. And then I am also good at telling somebody to go fuck themselves and putting them in a headlock. So there's a certain level of like social interaction and experience that is a lot, but that takes a very long time to get down. Otherwise, like, if you're making food, like, you know more than that server will ever know, and they're making more money than you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where I'm at's kind of a different situation because I mean, I kind of knew,
but for the most part, that is
yes. Almost everywhere that I have worked, even the most inexperienced servers make more than the cooks. At the private club that I currently work at, it's a little bit different because I have a slightly higher wage and they don't rely as much on tips, because who would have ever thought that rich people are greedy?
Right.
But yeah,
James.
anyway, the point is though,
I'm looking at James's comment.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, well, and they'll blame that on every single person, even if you did it right, or they'll blame it on the cook, even if the server fucked up. Like, it doesn't matter what happens. It's just like, it's your fault. And there have been so many times, like, I write things down and I don't mess up usually, unless somebody just throws me off, like, personality or communication wise. And I've gotten no tip on things that, like, I've explained them and I didn't do it. Rich people greedy?
No. Who would have thought? Well, and
anyway, on to the next thing, which is also tied into the labor struggle. A judge ruled that the BNSF railway unions cannot strike over the new attendance rule. They already authorized the strike.
What?
Yeah, over a week ago. We talked last current event stream about this impending strike, but a judge ruled that they can't.
Yeah, that I think it was like literally the 12th or the 14th that they put the strike into effect, and now a judge is saying no, you can't.
Yeah.
Why would
a federal judge ruled today that a strike would violate federal law because under their contracts, railroad unions aren't allowed to strike over minor disputes. Instead, those must be settled through arbitration or negotiation.
Bruh.
And who's to determine if it's minor or major?
Right. Yeah.
Apparently, a
Where do you draw the
capitalist
line there?
judge.
Right. Or maybe your employer itself.
That doesn't seem very fair at all.
It's not. There shouldn't be any kind of law saying you can't strike if, oh, fuck
Right.
you. We can walk the fuck out and say fuck you any fucking time we want for any fucking reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if we just so happen to collectively stand at the sidewalk out front holding signs expressing how many fuck yous we feel towards you, you can suck it. There ain't fuck all you can do about it.
Well, they were trying to strike over a new attendance rule. Basically, the employees will now be penalized for missing work for any reason. So, say somebody gets COVID and misses a couple days, they're getting penalized for that.
Fuck that.
And the union's supposed to just like lay on its back and say, "Yes, Poppy."
That's not minor.
No.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's not minor at all. That's huge.
What would Eugene Debs do?
Burn the place down. I'm sorry, no, he wouldn't set the fire himself, but his followers would.
I don't know that he would have encouraged building a fire, but he sure as shit would have encouraged, well, get out of the fucking train. Just let it sit there on the tracks. What are they going to do?
Right. And, you know, that's not saying it wouldn't necessarily be him, but, you know, his followers, they just might set some shit on fire. Or at least flip
but yeah, I'm
things off the track.
right. But I don't know. That's probably going to be an evolving situation. If the union has any fucking balls, they're not going to back down from that.
Nor should they.
I got Pop Wade's comment up. Oppress me harder, Daddy. Conservatives, probably.
True.
Oh my God, I almost forgot about Burkina
Union busting.
Faso.
Wait, before you go on to that, we're not done with union busting. Elon motherfucking Musk got convicted of it today.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Wait, he got what?
Elon Musk got
He was
convicted for
convicted in-
union busting today. There was
Oh,
people that he
Tesla.
fired for unionizing, and the judge was like, fuck you, you have to give this person back their job, pay them for the fucking wages lost, the whole fucking nine.
I don't care.
Yep.
And all that happened back in 2018.
This
So that's a
child,
lot of back.
Elon Musk is his favorite subject.
Cool.
Go off, King.
I don't think he will. Well, so you said Elon Musk got convicted of union busting today.
Well, he got convicted of that a few. Well, maybe the final.
No, convicted.
Yeah, I know, but he lost in court a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Over
Yes.
to
The I don't want to call it sentencing because it's a civil thing, but it was settled today, and that those employees are getting 3 years of back pay and their
Oh,
jobs back.
Damn.
Do you guys or have you watched anything over? So I'm anti Elon, but there's a channel called Common Sense Skeptic, which I don't know where the name goes on, but have some differences on the name, but they do a really good job of breaking down everything he does and how wrong he is for doing it. Sorry, I kind of hijacked this. I'll shut up.
You don't have to apologize. That's what it's here for. It's really not really.
Welcome to the forum. Fuck.
Yeah, right.
I didn't expect this to happen, so I'm kind of stoked about it.
My bad.
Hell yeah.
No, they want to hear people talk. That's the whole point.
That's the whole point. I don't know if that's all we got on Elon, though. I almost completely forgot that a coup happened today in Burkina Faso. If any of you guys, I put the link in the private chat if anyone wants to pop that open. And
Were you able to see the pictures of the of the actual convoy.
If you have some pictures of the actual convoy, I am
Let me pull up
interested.
my twit face real quick here.
I mean, I'm seeing some the pictures that CNN put with it is like, a handful of troops standing outside of a military base.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that they won't show the pictures of the actual convoy, because the convoy was literally like obliterated by gunfire. It's pretty fucking based. There we go. We should all be so lucky to take out our oppressors in this manner.
Are you gonna screen share?
Oh, what's going on?
Oh, I don't even know how to screen share. I just posted the link in chat.
You got a bunch of noobs over here. I don't know if he knows how, but he might.
No, hell wrong.
I just clicked this thing down here, and then it showed this whole story that he's talking about, but I don't know.
Here, let me log into my Twitter on my laptop here.
Okay. Well, while you do that, I'll go ahead and read through some of it. We can get people details. Burkina Faso's army said it took control of the country, deposing President Kabore, dissolving the government and parliament, suspending the constitution, and shuttering its borders. The coup was announced by Captain Sitsorkir Ouedraogo. I'm probably destroying that. My apologies. Who said the military had seized power in response to, quote, the ongoing degradation of the security situation in the country and the incapacity of the government to unite the population. Sitting alongside him, dressed in military fatigues and a red beret, was Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Damiba, a senior military officer who was introduced to the people of Burkina Faso as their new leader. Damiba was promoted in December by Kabore to commander of the country's third military region, which is responsible for security in the capital that I'm not even going to try to pronounce because I will destroy that. He studied at a military academy in Paris and authored a book called West African Armies and Terrorism, Uncertain Responses. There was no mention made in the televised statement about Kabore's whereabouts. The president has not been seen in public since the fighting broke out Sunday in the presidential palace. One of the coup leaders told CNN that Kabore was detained early Monday by soldiers that had taken control of the military base before storming the palace grounds and firing shots near the president's home. The same source said that Kabore signed his resignation and is being kept in a, quote, safe place in the West African country. But Kabore's exact location remains unknown. A message was posted from his Twitter account on Monday asking those involved in the insurrection to lower their arms. The tweet said, "Our nation is going through difficult times. We must, in this precise moment, preserve our democratic achievements. I invite those who took arms to lower them in the superior interest of the nation. It is through dialogue and listening that we must resolve our contradictions." UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is concerned about the whereabouts of President Kabore and is following the developments in Burkina Faso closely, said his spokesman Stéphane Dujarric on Monday. Plans for the military coup have been underway since August. Hatched in encrypted messaging apps and countless secret meetings held outside of the capital, one of the coup leaders told CNN, adding that the soldiers are angry at the government's handling of jihadist attacks in the country and believe Burkina Faso is better off under military rule right now. Civilians gathered on the streets, honking car horns and cheering in support of the military following Monday's announcement. People are fleeing their homes and people are dying everywhere because of terrorism. The situation is not solved. If the army takes the lead, I think things will go back to normal, said Amar Jr. Baharo, who was protesting downtown. The Economic Community for West Africa States, the ECOWAS for short, they posted a statement on Facebook on Monday saying it was watching, quote, with great concern the political and security situation in Burkina Faso. Um, they demanded that the soldiers return to the barracks, make a Republican situation, and favor dialogue with the authorities to resolve problems, adding that it held the military responsible for Kabor's well being. On Monday, the French embassy in Burkina Faso posted a message on its website warning its citizens in the country that the situation remains rather confusing. In the wait for a clarification, we recommend that you avoid non essential movements during the day and do not go out at night. 2 Air France flights scheduled for Monday evening were also canceled. Um, Burkina Faso has been racked with violence linked to the Islamic State and Al Qaeda that has killed thousands and displaced 1.5 million people. The military's been hard hit. Last month, at least 50 security forces were killed in the Sahel. Anger's been mounting across the country for weeks. The coup comes one day after a protest in the capital demanding the president's resignation. The coup attempt isn't coming out of nowhere. It's building on mounting dissatisfaction within the population and security forces with the government's handling of the security crisis, said Constantine Gouvi, a Burkina Faso researcher who works for the Netherlands based Klingendahl Institute. Kabor has championed a military first approach since being first elected in 2015, and it's not been successful, he said. Let's see. The protesters came out to support the mutineers on Sunday and ransacked the headquarters of Kabor's political party. The government had declared a curfew until further notice and closed schools for 2 days. The turmoil in Burkina Faso comes after successful military coups over the last 18 months in its West African neighbors Mali and Guinea, where the army removed President Alpha Conde last September. West Africa, which until recently appeared to have shed its reputation as Africa's coup belt, remains susceptible to unrest. The military also took over Chad last year after President Idris Deby died on the battlefield there. Burkina Faso was one of the poorest countries in West Africa, despite being a gold producer. And this is one of the things that we were talking about earlier in a piece that we pre-recorded. That like what the rest of the world sees as poor third world countries are not fucking poor at all. They actually have the largest number of natural resources. They're actually quite wealthy. It's just the people who live there aren't seeing that wealth. All of their resources are being fucking plummeted in order
And the
to
only ones that get
benefit
any wealth of that is the
the
so-called
bourgeoisie.
presidents.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not benefiting the people there like it should be. You don't
Exactly.
go and colonize poor areas because there's nothing to find. You colonize wealthy areas and fucking exploit the wealth. And that's something a lot of people have failed to see about why colonization even fucking existed in the first place. That
Yep.
these parts of the world are literally being fucking raped by European colonizers. And that needs to stop. They need decolonized. They need to actually be the ones benefiting from being a gold producer, because the people there deserve to have a higher quality of life and not be dealing with this dumb shit. They wrapped this up saying the army has suffered heavy losses at the hands of Islamist militants who control swaths of the country and have forced residents in those areas to abide by their harsh version of Islamic law. Yeah, that's the same thing that was happening in Afghanistan and surrounding areas too. And I mean, think about it. It would be like if Westboro Baptist had a fucking like militant presence and was locking down sections of the fucking country and forcing people to go by their shit.
That's the shitty part.
Right.
All right, can you hear me now? Yeah,
Yeah.
I was.
Didn't know we couldn't hear you. But I wasn't looking
Yeah,
at this.
I tried saying something like 3 times because okay, so you said that we were talking about this earlier, but for those of you watching, that will be tomorrow's stream. We have a piece on dialectics and dialectical imperialism releasing at our usual stream time, 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And in that, we played a 5-minute clip of the infamous Yellow Parenti tapes.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, if you Google the yellow tapes, it'll pull up Parenti's stuff, Michael Parenti. That's how I first learned about him.
Yeah, same. And I mean, basically, that entire lecture was the concept was that the third world is not poor; the third world is overexploited.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
100% correct.
And this exemplifies that. I mean, look at all the unrest happening there, and a lot of that being
In the case of Burkina Faso, though, is this coup being held by people that would be more along Sankara's line, or the people that overthrew him?
That's a
I
good
think
question.
that remains to be seen.
Right. That's that's
Because
one of
there's
the
some reports saying that the people's military is what did the coup, and then there's other reports that it was actually Islamist fascists that did the coup. And so it's like, okay, well, look, which part of which report do you actually believe? I
well,
think everything's just too new at this point to really tell.
Is this CAR? I mean, Central African Republic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is kind of been in shambles since colonialism, since World War II. Like, it's all been fucked.
Yep. Over and over again, they've just had warlord after warlord,
Yeah, you're not going to have anybody that's going to have their shit together enough to sustain an empire long enough for what past. You might get what, 7 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the trend.
Yep. Including this last president, literally.
right.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
So it's one of those things where it's like any kind of movement that is against a supposed oppressor is going to be good movement. But the question is, what kind of power vacuum happens at that point in order to install the next warlord, and what needs to happen with the community to keep that from occurring?
I mean, it's where the French are comfortable with. They'll happily subside with who they can stand.
True.
Seems to be their pattern.
So I have a little Biden clip for you guys. This should be fun, right? Everybody likes it when he can string words together. Anyway, this was a hot mic moment. The White House had a press conference. I forget if it was Sunday or yesterday. About the international leadership conference call that Biden and the other Western powers had.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody asked a question about deploying those 8,500 troops that were authorized for quick deployment to Eastern Europe, and he ignored it. And then somebody else asked a question about inflation, and he responded in a way that I think just shows that he is the same as Trump. I don't know how else to word that. But anyway, it's only 30 seconds long. Here we go.
And then we'll pick up as folks collect their things. Thank you all so much for coming. Sir, can you say declaratively the election this fall will be legitimate?
Thank you.
Why are you waiting on Putin to make the first move, sir? I want to talk outside. Thank you. Thank you. Sir. I want to talk outside. Thank you. Thank you. Sir. I want to talk outside.
I'm muted. That might help. This is not the full video. It is a short thing, but damn it,
Did
that's
he
not
say
what I was
that's
looking
too
for.
much?
No, he said, "What a stupid question."
Oh,
But
okay.
the second part was. Hang on, let me pull the story back up.
Like I'm up
fucked
to
up
I
here.
think like 100, at least in the 90s. No, I'm at 100%. I couldn't hear him mumble. That's how bad he is.
I didn't even hear
Yeah.
the question because there was like 3 reporters talking.
She asked if Russia had to make the first move,
Yeah.
Oh,
or
for it
Putin
to
had
get
to
in
make
the
the first
war?
move.
Hang on just a second. I'm pulling the
She
story
said,
back up.
"Does Putin have to make the first move?" And he said that's a stupid question. But I thought that he said this is too much or something like that. I don't know.
That's what I thought.
I wasn't
So there
sure
was
if it was a stupid question or stupid son of a bitch because I'm hard to hear and I'm like, huh?
well, and that's the
that's
thing.
still
The
not
first
like,
one he
that's
said
still
both.
not verifying the thought process of what is really going on here. It's not very specific response. I just is.
So, as the meeting at the White House wrapped up, a reporter asked the president for an update on the call, which was what the press conference was about. And the full quote, the full back and forth, I guess I should say, was, "The only reason I don't like doing this is that you never report on why I called a meeting, and this is really important. I had a very, very good meeting. Total unanimous. Oh my god, I can't fucking talk. Unanimity with all European leaders. We'll talk about it later. Thank you." And then another reporter shouted out the question that you heard about a Pentagon plan to possibly send up to 8,500 U.S. troops to Eastern Europe. Biden ignored that question. And then Fox News reporter Ducey yelled out, "Do you think inflation is a political liability in the midterms?" And he said, "That's a great asset. More inflation. What a stupid son of a bitch."
Wow.
Like, that's not even what he said.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then, "Why are you waiting on Putin to make the first move?" was the question. And he said, "What a stupid question." And then the reporters were shooed out of the room. So obviously he is incapable of answering simple questions that are directly on topic to the purpose of the fucking meeting.
The meeting, yeah.
Didn't fit a script.
Sounds pretty neoliberal of him, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But how?
And I mean, it just reminds me of like,
because like, I mean, not even that I like Obama, but like you could lie to people better.
True.
and I mean, at least Obama
Bullshit
had a
was
fucking
way-
sense of humor.
Well, and he
Right.
wasn't 70 something nearing 80. Like, and I'm like, I don't know. I would just think that like the system of this would be smarter. Like everybody was like, oh my God, Obama. And he was young enough to fucking swing all of it and lie really well. And everybody still sucks his dick. Why? How is this? Do we just not even care anymore? That you're just like, sorry, he's old. He's too old to answer questions and he's too old to make decisions and he doesn't know how to talk.
Even through
twisted.
more deportations than Trump and over 800,000 drone strikes, we were all just like,
They just like stop throwing people bones. They stop throwing people bones. You're just like, there's supposed to be like at least like some kind of distraction that you're like, hell yeah, I did it. The next president is going to be some kind of Republican if it's Trump again, because student debt is still fucked. COVID is still happening.
It's actually like the best way to show when someone's racist. It's just like it's like, okay, so you don't like Obama, but he executed all the policies you wanted above and beyond. And
well, I mean, that's what they're doing with Harris right now anyway. That's why Harris was put where she was.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Harrison, the "Don't
Being
Come"
tokenized.
campaign.
She loves the
Washing
prison
rents
system.
and,
She loves the
return.
prison system. It's
Yep.
her
Well, yeah,
favorite.
She was a
a
cop.
pretty important cog in that machine.
Yeah.
I mean, for fuck's sake, her campaign slogan might as well have been "Tokenize me harder, Daddy."
Yeah, for real.
I wasn't gonna say it because I'm white.
I'll say it.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did.
So the last thing that I want to talk about tonight, this already was struck down. This happened 2 days ago or 3 days ago, and it was already struck down. But at-will workers quit their jobs for higher pay. The old employer asked the court to block them from starting new jobs until they can rehire, and the judge granted an injunction preventing them from starting their new jobs.
Yeah.
So much for that. Just get another job. Just get a different job. Just quit.
Yeah,
I should.
and this is Wisconsin.
Yeah, then how the
it's
fuck that's legal?
It's not.
It
legal,
shouldn't be.
And there's still.
what was that?
You know,
Chelsea?
when
I said it's not legal, and they're still doing it. I mean, I didn't finish. They're still doing it.
I mean, that shit that you get together and burn the courthouse down over.
I've had
Yeah,
those days. Only one time over something minor, but I still want to. I
It's
only say
irritating.
minor because I don't want to get into it, but
it's irritating because
it's still some sexist bullshit, and this is some fucking classist bullshit. I don't even know how you can. It's amazing to me what people do to twist words.
No,
That's why the
part
law
of it.
doesn't matter.
and that was healthcare workers, you guys.
Yeah, like people that you need right now.
Right.
Sitting at home.
Like, no, you can't leave. You got to fucking stay here. And
You're like, of all the people that I'd be like, hey, you should go to work, those are the only people. And they're trying to, and they can't.
hi, Natalie. That's fine. You can come back and listen later. We're not going to be mad. But yeah, I mean, I even though it was overturned, the fact that a judge would even grant that injunction.
Well, okay, but so when I read this yesterday, it was still pending and they were moving it. So was it overturned?
Today, yes.
Okay. So how many days were they out?
Well, the initial ruling was
5,
the
I believe.
22nd.
Oh, on the second?
22nd.
22nd.
Okay.
So 3 days. But that's still not the point, though.
It should
Like,
never.
they had accepted,
No, it should never have even been entertained to begin with.
right?
Yeah,
And it
pull
sets
that
a
bullshit.
terrifying precedent.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying. I'm just glad that it did not take a serious chunk out of their lives, because a lot of the time this will do that, and so that's lucky. But it's also very concerning that this was even entertained at all.
Yeah.
To make a news headline and to be even a week, it doesn't matter. Like, a week can fuck somebody pretty hard when you're at will.
If you did it
Yeah.
with steel shop workers, they'd flip shit. I mean, this would not have gone the same way.
Or truckers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
I'm sorry, like all of your bills and all of your rent and all of that, you are obligated to individuals only, and you can't even blame the people that are supposed to employ you when they keep you from making money. Like, they should be reimbursed for that entire pay period from the government itself, just for that, because now it's like your landlord doesn't care that you were out a week over some dumb shit. And your electric and water company don't care. Your gas company doesn't care. Your car payment doesn't care.
Yeah, that precedent doesn't help anybody.
Like, everybody just acts like it's
Yeah.
like, oh, we just got to make sure this is cool. But it doesn't ask the question of why none of this even works together at all.
The system continues to march on. But here's the thing, and it goes a lot deeper than that, because you've got these companies that they won't provide wage increases to their workers because they go, hey, we don't have to give you more money. If you want more money, go get another job, which is the reason that everybody has to get a new job every 3 to 5 years. But on top of that, these courts literally sat there and said, okay, well, you know that thing about you can just get another job? Guess what? That's not true either, by doing what they did for that week. And that's what's really fucked up about it. It's a lie all the way around.
It might be more positive in the long run because they fucked themselves so hard on this. And this was not like, what did they gain out of it? Not a whole lot.
Right.
Yeah.
You really set yourself up for disaster. I mean, but this is kind of like what we mentioned. Like you don't see truckers, you don't see steel shop workers and stuff. Because I mean, they have, for one, they've been through this run and run. They have unions to speak on their behalf, which is mind blowing that we're talking about medical workers here, and there was no such thing.
Yeah,
but it's like in any other, let's say more or I guess less complacent industry, you do that in, what kind of price would you have to pay? They would start up street right, like shit would be if they pulled this shit on people like that. And I'm not supporting like what's more important than another, but I'm just saying, just because the times that this has come up in, they wouldn't put up with that shit, and they would really sell. I mean, you see the same thing with just getting vaccinated, what people are doing over it, and it's like they put up less of a fight. I mean, like this is insane, and this is less of a fight than requiring vaccination, and that's like that's something to really stir the pot nowadays. I don't think it should be, but my personal opinion aside.
Well, it's just another testament to how badly we need unions in everywhere, because in this particular situation, it was the hospital who owned the hospital that had the upper hand, and you're right. It wouldn't have been that way had they been more like, the steel workers and the mill workers and the truckers and actually had unionization. So.
Yeah, and it's only because they've been shit on for so long that it even came to that point. So.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, but can you imagine like the early UAW being faced with an injunction like that? They would have burned GM to the ground. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yep.
Yeah, everything is so watered down now. Everybody just thinks that it's okay.
It's like they don't know how to react.
Like that's just.
I mean, to be honest, I don't really know how to react either. Besides, like a couple of cocktails through a couple of windows or something. But that's what's that really gonna win us?
Anything overall? No, like when I fell the other night, like she was talking to me about asking him about workers' comp, and I was just like, I really do not need to add this fight to the list of my problems, especially because like I don't feel bad anymore. Like it still hurts a little bit, but it's going away. Like I can tell. But it was funny because I walked in, like the next time he saw me, he was like, "Do you need to file a workers' comp complaint?" And I was like, I've never had an employer ask me this before in my life. But I'm still hesitant to ask. So I'm not judging anybody that is hesitant to ask, because it's very much like, do I need this money right now? And am I happy because they're nice people and they're not dramatic? Or do I want to start some shit? Because that's just how it is. Luckily, he's not like that. So he actually showed that to me without me asking. But a lot of 99% of the time, that does not happen to people.
Right.
I would say at least
that's why workers used to take it into their own hands.
You were both talking at the same time, and I didn't hear that.
I was just gonna say, like, at least take him up on the offer to get the exam covered, to like get an MRI and stuff.
Well, I told him
like that on your tailbone.
I told him. Well, I fell on my ass cheek, not my tailbone. I know how to fall on my butt. But so nothing, everything's fine. I didn't fall on my tailbone.
Well, I mean,
There's
even
there's
you
not
don't
many
even
bone
have to have
related
tailbone
problems other than like
impact.
my elbows.
And honey,
But-
any impact on your ass there can blow out a disc. It doesn't necessarily have to be on your tailbone itself.
It feels okay though.
But
I
I'm
told
just-
him if I was lifting, but I like stocked the whole liquor store today and I didn't have a problem.
Okay.
I don't want to fall again though because I don't know if I can handle it.
Yeah, no.
I got lucky and that's it. But no, that's what I'm saying though. It's funny because like, I mean, you can have like, you can be in the medical field and people still don't let you take medical leave or give you workers' comp, or like they try to take your employment from you while we're in the middle of a pandemic still. Like,
Right.
A friend of mine, he finally got to use this vacation, and then they put him on call over his vacation. I'm like, that's not how that works at all. Like, that's like at all. That you can just come in and run an overnight shift for somebody on your fucking vacation.
accidents happen to all of us throughout our lives, no matter what it is. I just can't imagine why this is something that we act like is something that should derail your entire life.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Well, and this is why, back in the olden days, they were like, hey, boss, you're going to pay us more money or we're going to burn the factory down.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I think that's
well, and I mean, that's the thing. Maybe the bosses need to be reminded that the reason that we came up with the whole idea of unions was because the alternative was dragging them out into the street and beating the hell out of it.
But our problem is
Yep.
that we
Burning
have
the shit
too many cocksuckers.
True.
I was gonna say bootlicker because it's pretty much the same,
They are
but
bootlickers.
it's more graphic when you say cocksucker. And they just suck the dick. That's all they do. They just suck the dick, and they don't realize that. I mean, honestly, people don't realize this in their own personal relationships.
They don't
either.
realize it's a dick when you
In
put
their own
Nestle
personal
on.
relationships, they don't realize it. And like, that guy is mean to you. That girl is mean to you. Your friend is a piece of shit. Your boyfriend's a piece of shit. Like, and people just don't listen. They don't care. And so why they're normalized in their personal relationships. And so then whenever it gets outside of that, and so then they call some girl crazy because she's like, bye. And they're like,
We all normalize taking shit as like a strong attribute,
yeah,
and that's part of the issue.
but no, so it starts at home, and then it like,
Right. It conditions you to it. Straight the fuck up. It's psychological conditioning to accept and just expect to be treated like shit through life. And it's like, when the fuck did this become the norm and why? Come on.
I think that I was just
You're so
like alone all the
strong.
time when I was a kid. Like, I was just reading some book and I didn't want to talk to anybody. So now it's like, I don't need you. I'll just leave right now. I don't care. And they're like, what? And I'm like, no, really, human interaction, I can take it or leave it. It doesn't really matter.
Well, I told my boss earlier today that I'm like, look, I get it, but if they're gonna start requiring us to show up in person, I'm like, I tell them to fuck off.
He works for a healthcare company.
Yeah.
And they have in-person meetings.
I was like, I'm not gonna burn you guys, but I'm not gonna put up with this shit. I'm like, if you guys are gonna require me to show up in person, I'll work for oil and gas, which was the whole fucking reason that I left those pricks. And like, they're not paying to be competitive. It's like if they want to flaunt and demand.
I mean, that's what we're
where we
taught
work
in
and what we
school
do.
anyway. Get into
Pay your
healthcare
money.
in some kind of way, whether it's tech or whether it's physical, like right there. Like, there is no competition for that. That is literally where you can make money.
And there was no right answers to anything I said.
Right. John said, and this is pretty on the nose, I think, each generation is born into the reality and accepts it as normalized.
Mm-hmm.
It gets worse every generation, and we just expect it. Like, yeah, this is normal. This is great.
Yeah.
Like the
So
meme
what
with
do you
the dog
think that it
cartoon on
is?
the bar on fire. Like, this is fine.
Yep.
So what do you think it is that brings people to this point, and how can we replicate it?
You don't think replicating it's the issue?
Um,
Yeah.
Well, I
just
mean,
really
there's a couple of books that might have some answers that we're looking for here, and they're the two that I'm going to mention are both written by Vladimir Lenin.
Revolution.
And that was the second one. I was going to say, What is to Be
What is to
Done,
be
and
done.
State and Revolution. Yeah.
Yep.
How long are those? Because now I have 1,000-page book to read that my mom did not send me.
Well, I mean,
No one buys me books. No one ever buys me books.
You
No
love
one
buying
actually has. No, okay, so like only my mom passive aggressively buys me books. And then also when I'm talking to like a bunch of people at once, sometimes like I just zone out because I'm just like there's so many people talking and I don't really know when I'm supposed to be there. And so like I forgot that we had that conversation, but like I think that you're the only person that has ever actually bought me a book in the like longest time.
Well, I hope
And
you enjoy
so
it. It's a good one. It's a
I
mind fuck.
just no, and so now I will make that one a priority. But I just no one ever buys me books except for my passive aggressive mom, and
but
Damn.
look at what's caused most upset.
I
Like,
usually just choose what I'm like. No, that sounds exactly like what the train I'm on now is, and so like people don't buy me anything because they don't know where I'm at. Like, and so no one's ever done that for me. And so I thought it was like, especially with the Bible verse, it makes sense now looking at it flipped, but like I was like, so
Right,
like
it is a cringe moment, and it's supposed to be a cringe moment because it's kind of setting the premise for the Christo-fascist abuse that happens.
but
in
yes,
that.
okay. Sorry to go off, but I want to listen to these two by Lennon, and then also I bought Protestantism and the Spirit of Capitalism today by Max Weber.
I saw that.
And so it's only 132 pages, and so I was wondering how long these two from Rob are.
State and Revolution is 163 pages. But
I was gonna say
chapter
300.
chapter 7 is only that long because the October Revolution happened and he had to stop writing.
I was going to say 300, but I knew it was short.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, the communist, if you need a short book to kind of dive, well, you're already probably deeper than the Communist Manifesto, to be honest. Yeah, that's only 39 pages.
The Communist Manifesto and State and Revolution have something that's very much in common with them, though. It's short enough that you won't be able to take it in if you were to get like an audiobook of it. I can tell you that from personal, like I've done both. And I got way more out of it when I actually read it than when I listened to the audiobook in both cases.
I agree with you, but my solution usually is to read it along with the audiobook.
That's a good idea.
That's what we did. Actually, for State and Revolution, we did that with Zach, and we were reading along with the audiobook and pausing for discussion and stuff. So honestly, if you don't have that book on hand and want to check it out, you can go to Zach's. Is it his Twitter account, Rob?
I believe it's his YouTube. I don't know. I can put his link tree in the comments. LINK
Either way, at Bread Theory.
br.ee/bread _theory.
Oh.
There we go.
Don't forget the underscore. Yeah, that whole series is on there if you guys want to check that one out. For
check out his other streams too.
Yes, he's got a
Bread
lot.
Theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, bread
He's
fruit paste.
if you can't tell by the name, he's more of an anarcho-communist than a Marxist-Leninist, but
That kind of
he's a
people.
good dude and he's got a good head on his shoulders.
There's hope for me. Yeah, I promise that one day I might become a full-on communist instead of an
An ANCOM.
anarcho-communist.
To be
I
fair, though,
read this thing and I
anarchism is
can't
really
remember where now, but it says that technically all communists are anarchists because they believe in the collective
yes.
cooperation that is only individual and mental or something to that effect. I don't know the words. I'm paraphrasing.
The anarchism is only the highest level of communism. They're the same fucking thing. The whole goal with communism is to eventually dissolve the state, and Lenin lays that out beautifully in State and Revolution. That it only needs to be in place for long enough to be, and in that instance, also a dictatorship of the proletariat, a government that is actually of the people and accountable to the people. And it is only to be in place long enough to protect the revolution from capitalist forces trying to overthrow it. Once people are all on the same fucking page with this is literally what we need to do to improve life for all of us and everything on this planet, then okay, we can dissolve the fucking government body itself, because we'll be at a point where people are like, okay, we've found the ability to actually fucking communicate and collaborate to make sure
Yeah,
everybody.
and I mean, to piggyback off of that, the reason the USSR never dissolved, well, at least not in that context, is because the entire existence of the USSR was
Still
faced with
fighting capitalism.
exactly, it was faced with outside pressure from Western
From
powers the entire time.
Yeah, it's because everything around it was not communist, so it couldn't dissolve itself. It always had to be in the middle of a fight.
Right. That's why I do like to come back to that point of this does need to turn into a global revolution, because when you're completely surrounded by capitalist countries that are trying to impose that upon you, um, like what the US is doing to Cuba with fucking sanctions,
Yeah,
um, you know, eh, you have no choice but to maintain a communist government to protect the revolution, to protect the people themselves, and you're in an uphill fucking battle against, motherfuckers like the US, the fucking bullies of the world.
yeah. Every time that they point to something and go, "You don't want to be like Venezuela, do you?" Or "You don't want to be like
Like,
Chile or any of these things," they always point to something that has had nothing but antagonisms from the largest imperialist in the world. You
One of
know?
my favorite stories is from damninteresting.com, and they essentially it was a bunch of technocrats. They weren't. I mean, that wasn't their goal at the time or anything. They want a computer that could manage people stuff, manage resources. It was meant to enhance government,
Mhm.
and sure enough, that thing by itself was slaving away against the CIA, rerouting truck shipments while they were fucking with everything, with Pinochet and everybody trying to tear shit up
Yeah,
in the early 70s. And it's such a good read.
that's wild. I'll have to look at that.
I can send it out.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
he can send it to me and I can send it to y'all.
Word.
It's,
Yeah,
it's a really good read.
that's based. That's crazy. But I mean, if you think about it, that's really kind of what we're stuck with when it comes to the duopoly here. On one side, you've got somebody who wants a theocracy, and on the other side, you've got a pair of pantsuits that's talking about breaking glass ceilings and is basically just a technocratic nightmare. So it's like, which one do you go with?
Oh yeah, and that's the thing too is the comparison between the two. Like
Just
I try to
neoliberal
avoid
hell.
using labels because you're going to have somebody that's going to shit on those labels.
Yeah.
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 That's why it comes down
And-
more to actually communicating and connecting and explaining the concepts rather than just slapping a label on it, because labels can be misinterpreted. You
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely true. Well, it's like when you talk to boomers and they're so against socialism, let alone communism, but then they'll turn around and be like, "Well, why don't we limit these corporations from doing all this crap to consumers?" And it's like, do you know what you're advocating for right now?
But the funny part is that they're the most relevant people to be talking to. This is what affects them the most: socialized
Yeah.
healthcare, anything like that. It's like the cost is right on their doorstep, and they don't. They fret to what they know,
Right. Well,
and so it's hard to persuade any sort of, I don't know, talking points. And it's like, it doesn't have to be a battle.
back in like, oh God, it was a long time ago at this point. I think it was like somewhere around, Obama's second term. There was this old man. I walked into Walgreens and there was this old man that was being literally dragged out by cops, and he was screaming, "You tell that damn government they can't do nothing. You tell that damn government to get their hands off of my Medicare." And I thought, does he know what he's saying right now? It was just the oddest like thing to complain and bitch about. And I was just
Healthcare
like,
is only for people that are about to die. Don't you know that?
right.
That's how we
Only.
keep the economy going.
Isn't it though?
Yeah.
It kind of makes me wonder if that whole situation started at the pharmacy there then. Like maybe his fucking insurance got cut or something and wasn't covering one of his medications he needed to stay the fuck alive.
That's what I'm thinking. That's honestly what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I just don't see how you can hit a rock bottom like that and not come out hating the exact right people. Like, I don't have like anger issues towards people that I don't have a problem with. And like y'all have seen that just in like group chat. I don't freak out. But I will freak out on the internet and then like lose a fucking month of posting. But like I just know where to put my anger. And so I just don't understand hitting rock bottom like that and being like, you know what? It's this guy in the bar's fault.
Right.
Like what?
I
Like
don't know. So my stepmom pulled us both aside, and she's like, "You know, you have to pay into Medicaid, right?" And I didn't. I didn't know that. I know it's not a whole bunch, but it's a lot when you're living off of Social Security. $180 a month to
Yeah.
pay
Yeah.
into something that you should already have.
Yep. Yeah, you should already have it. Absolutely. Well, and
no, and at that same time, like whenever like my boss brought up me if I needed it to file a workers' comp complaint, like he just started talking to me. He was like, "Do you have health insurance?" And I was like, "No." And I was like, at this point, like honestly, he asked if I had applied for Sooner Care, which is Oklahoma's. And so I was like, "Yeah, I've tried that before. It didn't really work out. I made too much money, which was nothing. I mean, nothing, and I still made too much money." And I think it's because of my mom. This whole country encourages nepotism, and it will let you. I'll die on the street. But just kidding. But like, but he asked me if I had healthcare, and I was like, at this point, like honestly, I'm healthy enough. Like nothing matter. Like dental is my biggest concern. Luckily, nothing bad has happened yet so far, but like all of them do hurt because I have 3 of my wisdom teeth still. But I'm just like, young people don't want to pay this much a month for health care when they're still healthy.
right.
Like, and I'm 31. I'm not even in my 20s, and I'm still just like, I really don't need to do anything. I've checked up everything that I need to as a female body, whatever. I don't know.
Well, and
But so
the
like
amount that you play, the amount that you pay monthly for
but I'm
everything.
supposed to pay like $300.
I believe it. Yeah, I believe it. And that doesn't even cover your not only your medications that you have to buy.
That's just a month. It doesn't even matter if anything happens to you or not.
Right.
So
And it doesn't go towards your deductible.
And
So it's like, what the fuck?
I told a friend of mine to kind of position it this way. It's like, well, let's look at this as we're all just a bunch of capitalists. And it's like, okay, what's going to give private industry more money? Socialized healthcare. There was so much overhead with doing this that if this was not a worry from any of your workers, if this wasn't a tax on you, it's like you could give your workers higher wages, higher, like, is any of this going to happen? Fuck no. But like, socialized healthcare would even benefit capitalism.
Yeah, it's just not practical.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's why
Yeah.
I made the joke at the beginning of, yeah, you're only afforded healthcare when you're about to die.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and like what you were talking earlier about, you know, I that you don't understand why people will get to rock bottom and still punch down on others and think that like it's others around them that caused it. You look at even like the far right with their all their bullshit about the deep state, and really what they're pissed off is capitalism and corporations. It's the same thing that the left is pissed about. They just call it by different terms and try to like mystify it to act like, oh, it's the Illuminati, but it's not. You know?
No, you nailed it on the head. Walter Masterson like did some little skits over this, and it was depressingly hilarious.
How
much they'd fold on their beliefs or their perceived beliefs.
Yeah, because like everybody's talking about civil war right now, and while we should be punching up, and we all know that we should be punching up, they'll have us punching left and right instead. And it's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
No, I remember this time when I was like still all right with my mom, and I was like working for her to take care of her dogs. Like, it's always temporary because I can't do the nepotism. I'm like, yeah, I'll help you if you're paying me because I have to go a ways away. I have to drive down there to get there. So it's like, yeah, I'll help you. And if you pay me, that's fine. But I just don't buy into the nepotism business shit. I'm just like, I cannot stand you. Like, I cannot stand anything that you believe in, all of it. But like, there was this one time I specifically remember we were in the kitchen, like they'd just gotten home, and her husband will always ask you questions, and he really wants to know the answer to those questions, but he will never change his mind. And so he's always
really
asking
stupid,
me
loaded questions,
how
too.
much how you feel about Biden, and I'm like, he's still a dumb piece of shit. And they're Trump dick suckers, like, and so they're just like, oh, I knew I liked you, and I'm like, I told you this 1,000 times. Why do you have to suck my dick every single time I see you and pretend that we're bonding? Because we're not bonding. Like,
Right.
I mean, he's not a mean person or anything, but I'm like, if this is what we're bonding on, we're not bonding. So I showed them this meme though one time, and it was like, it was Obama. I love those Obama Biden memes. They're my favorite.
Oh my
Because,
God,
like,
right?
when they were going out, those things were hilarious, especially like the acid tripping one. And they were letting Trump, they were like, we put like acid in the, I don't remember.
Or
They were
the
the
one
best,
about the
but-
Edge sketch.
I can't. I have to find it now because those were the best memes ever. But so I saw another one, and it was like, it was Biden looking at Obama like this, and he was like, "Did you hear? Everybody wants to have sex with me." And then Obama is just like, "That's not what fuck Joe Biden means." And so I showed this to them. And my mom started giggling because, like, she normally is just like, don't say fuck in my house. But this one, it was allowed. And so
It was allowed, yeah. Unless it's against something I hate, then it's okay.
Yeah, no, anytime I accidentally say God damn it or Jesus Christ, they lose their shit. And that happens. And it's funny because actually when I'm employed at a place, I don't lose my tongue. But when I'm at my parents', I'm just like, fuck! Or I'm like, God damn it! And they're like, oh no, you took the Lord's.
Oh, that's funny.
Check this out.
God.
I feel like I've seen this before.
Yeah,
Is
just
that
die.
a woman on her deathbed from COVID?
Yep.
Yeah,
19?
yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
By the way-
yeah. Our pictures are, our videos are in the way. There we go.
Natalie is totally correct. She says there's money in sickness, not preventative health care. And fucking A right. That's exactly the problem.
Also, actually, I should bring that screen share back up. I found out that we have a new badge for our followers, and Natalie has been a follower of For We Are Many for over a year.
Based.
Yes.
That's fucking awesome.
Anniversary badge. Nice.
Yeah. So thank you for putting up with our shenanigans for the last year.
Participating in them because she's also been a member of our staff here since almost the very beginning. It didn't take her long to join up.
That's true. That's true.
Mhm.
How do
So
I get my
thank-
shadow band badge?
It's
Oh,
there,
dude.
Nate. It's just in the shadows. You know what
Yeah.
I'm
That's
saying?
what the couch is
It's
for.
hidden.
It's got the shadow
It's a
band.
badge only you can see. It's not on display for the public.
Right. Right, exactly. It's just how it goes. Well,
Oh, man.
I thank you all for the time. I'm going
Yeah,
to
I was actually just gonna say it's probably right about time to wrap this up because we're
3
heading
hours.
towards an infamous 3-hour tour, which we said a long time ago we weren't gonna do anymore.
so much for that.
And yep.
Yeah.
See now, John,
Tom
if we
says
were
I
in
don't see
control
my
of the badge,
agent badge.
we can, that's why Facebook needs to let the pages decide what badges we want to give people because we can totally give you Alphabet Men one.
Right,
Actually-
exactly.
Are we leaving?
Yeah, pretty close here.
Burns so bright. Ah.
All right, we're creeping up on 3 hours again.
Sorry for interrupting. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Actually, I put in the comments.
No,
I should
he
probably
did
say it out
actually.
loud.
I saw that earlier. I just didn't respond
Yeah.
because I don't know how to comment on this thing. So
Kyle, do you have a Twitter that you want to shout out or a page?
who?
Kyle.
Oh,
She's like, who?
I didn't know who you were asking. I didn't.
No, I don't have anything specific. I know I brought up the damn interesting story, and I'll share that, I guess, with you when I find it. I have to find it.
Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah,
can post that to our page.
Cool.
The videos he's always showing me is James Freeman and who's that stupid comedian with the Trump hat?
Oh God, it's sad that I have to say this, but narrow it down.
No, the one that's always like joking with the Trump hat. And he's like,
probably Walter Masterson. I know he's one of them.
yeah, so he goes up to like anti-vaccine rallies and stuff, and he's like wearing a Trump hat, but he's totally. So what is his name?
Walter Masterson.
Walter Masterson and James Freeman.
James Freeman is. I mean, he's more of a. I don't know.
He's more
of a
abrasive.
libertarian. I would guess,
But
it's not.
it's worth watching.
Yeah.
Like
sure.
specifically for like cop reasons and stuff.
Word.
Yeah. So
yeah.
like
I'm
he
just
might
saying,
be
like,
libertarian. You
know-
might not
know
agree
what you're
with him
getting yourself
politically.
into ahead of
But
time.
he specifically goes out and he deals with like messed up precincts and stuff like that. So
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he might like have some stupid political views, but like the stuff he does is completely evil. At
Yeah,
least
absolutely.
for watching on YouTube. So
Gotcha.
he's actually in Tulsa, I think recently.
It was him and another guy. They're actually at the airport. I guess they beat the shit out of
Yeah.
some guy unlawfully, and so they were out there. And the other guy, his he's out of LA, and they do a lot of kind of like partnerships, like where they'll joint task on some stuff.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, but I mean, it's hilarious and it's good. But they, I'm trying to remember the other guy's name.
I don't know, but the comedian Walter Masterson, he always gets people to just admit to being communists, like even Republicans. And he's like, oh, so no, I mean, he will get a Republican to admit that they're a communist. And
Nice.
it's hilarious. Like it's
That's awesome.
perfect every single time.
That's my kind of comrade right there.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I like, and so at first I wondered if he like really thought that, or if he just like got. So, but honestly, I've seen so many of them that I really think that he might be.
Yeah.
I
Just
think
like-
that his
just
whole
like,
thing
no,
is that
there's-
he doesn't
he's
say
pigeonholing
specifically, but
all
a
of them
lot
into
of the
this.
questions end up being, "You're a communist," and
Right.
it's just that Republicans are
You
just
shared the one
they're
about-
bootlickers, and that's it. It's like you were almost there, but you're not.
Like we talked about, this close.
No, and I
This
grew up
close.
with Republicans, and they are this close. They're this
Yeah.
close. They like bring up all the things, and then they're just like, "But I love that misogynistic, fucking rapist, child abuser. I love that guy. He's the best." And also, if an officer shows up at the door, give him a casserole.
Word. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Give him
Good
a
night.
casserole. Give him a casserole.
A casserole.
A casserole.
A barrel roll.
Make sure it says something crass on the top.
As James said, it's almost time for the music. I know, he looks forward to that. So do I, honestly. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Sterling, who did not make it with us tonight, but he's the one that put the vocals on this track. Anyway, we will be back tomorrow night with our dialectical materialism piece. We'll be reading the paper on dialectics by Tom Watts, and hopefully Thursday we will have our latest installment in the Revolutionary Left Book Club, which we have been struggling with lately because, work, time, life, all of that. Tomorrow's episode will not be a 3-hour tour. It's right about an hour on the dot. I hope to see most of you back tomorrow. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and see you then.
Absolute freedom. We're all looking for freedom.
Wait for the bass drop.
Worry about it. Learn how to use what